Chapter 1333. This Blue Dragon King is really bold. To think that he dares to attend the banquet alone. Ha! If he were not bold, he would not have achieved what he has today. Old Hong, what do you think of him? There's no rush. This is the Five Poison Sect's territory. We are not in a rush. Right. Before everyone's eyes, Xiaochen performed a cupped fist salute and sat down on his seat. A pretty maidservant immediately walked over and poured wine for Xiaochen and placed spirit fruits on the table. A magnificent song and dance performance took place in the hall. Chen Feng looked at Xiaochen and said, "Little brother Xiaochen, there are very few people in the younger generation that I admire. Since you dare to attend the banquet alone, I offer you 3 toasts." After saying that, Chen Feng downed 3 cups in a row, appearing very heroic. Xiaochen smiled gently and said some polite words before returning the toast. When the wine cup landed, Xiaochen felt an extremely sharp gaze on him, so he turned his head to look. It was Gong Taihua, the rather unruly 4th Heaven Emperor Wu, who stood behind him. When Gong Taihua saw Xiaochen looking over, he smiled and continued to look at Xiaochen in a flirtatious manner. Xiaochen could not be bothered with him. He picked up his wine cup and directly ignored Gong Taihua. "Little friend Xiaochen, I already know why you are here. However, I have to speak the truth. It is not appropriate for our 5 Poison Sect to support the Dragon's Gate and resist the Deity Dao Union. My apologies." Chen Feng did not give Xiaochen a chance to speak, directly rejecting Xiaochen in a somewhat abrupt manner. The Heavenly Province Academies and the Yinyang Paradise's Greater Heavenly Emperor Wu exchanged glances, feeling extremely surprised. Unexpectedly, Chen Feng rejected them so decisively. Xiaochen did not say anything. He just picked up his wine cup and silently took a sip. However, don't worry. The 5 Poison Sect will not stand on the side of the Deity Dao Union and deal with the Dragon's Gate and the Haotian Sect, Chen Feng added, expressing his stance and choosing to remain neutral. Putting down the wine cup, Xiaochen nodded and said, "I know. When I saw this poison cloud, I knew the 5 Poison Sect's decision. This poison cloud has been accumulating for 10,000 years, so I'm afraid that it has gained sentience. It's enough for the 5 Poison Sect to stay out of it, watch from the sidelines, and even rise up in the chaos." Chen Feng's expression changed. Evidently, he had not expected that Xiaochen would be able to see through the 5 Poison Sect's trump card with a single glance. The poison cloud has a spirit. Sect Master Chen, your honorable sect really hit it well. The 2 greater heavenly sovereigns from the Heavenly Province Academy and Yinyang Utopia were shocked. Chen Feng looked straight at Xiaochen. "How did you know?" This was a great secret of the 5 Poison Sect. Very few people knew about it. The poisonous cloud in the sky had indeed developed a spirit and possessed life. However, when the poisonous cloud was awakened, it could erupt with the strength of a prime, extremely horrifying. Xiaochen said indifferently, "After 2 years in the lower realm, I comprehended a Taiji Dao and am extremely sensitive to the existence of living beings. At first, I only had some suspicions. However, after seeing Sect Master's expression, I am now certain." Chen Feng's face sank. This fellow actually dug a trap for him. However, he quickly recovered and laughed loudly. Good eyes, good eyes. "Sect Master, I feel that this song and dance performance is too bland. Since the Blue Dragon King is here, how about I fight with the Blue Dragon King to liven things up for everyone? The Blue Dragon King fighting against 10 alone is something that I have long heard about. I have long wanted to see it for myself." Just at this moment, Gong Taihua, who was behind Chening, suddenly stepped forward and said in an extremely provocative manner, a strong fighting spirit in his eyes. Everyone else was somewhat shocked. Chening was a 4th Heaven Emperor Wu, having already crossed the threshold of a lesser Heavenly Emperor Wu. He was fundamentally different from a 3rd Heaven Emperor Wu. Challenging Xiaochen was a little too shameless. Xiaochen frowned slightly. What's wrong with this person? The first time he saw me, he had an unconvinced look on his face. Not only did he fall at the banquet, he even directly challenged me, making me feel disgusted for no reason. Chen Feng looked at Xiaochen and said, "Little friend, what do you think?" Xiaochen felt disgusted and did not want to fight with this person. He coldly rejected, I fought against 10 alone because I relied on a martial Dao. I do not dare to fight with a fourth heaven emperor, Wu like Senior Gong. Haha. Gong Taihua curled his lips and mocked. Looks like some people are only SOSO. The rumors are just SOSO. You still want to convince the five poison sect? I'm afraid you can't even pass your own great trial of wind and fire. He looked at Xiao Chun and said arrogantly, if you want to fight, I can only use half of my strength. If I use more than half, I lose. These words made Chen Feng, who was on the main seat, frown. This was a little too much. He waved his hand and said, Elder Gong, since the Blue Dragon King is not willing, you can leave first. Unexpectedly, Chen Feng did not leave. Sect leader, I'm afraid you don't know. 3 days ago on the street, this Blue Dragon King humiliated the saint. This Azure Dragon King ruthlessly humiliated the Holy Sun. At that time, he was very arrogant. Unexpectedly, he is now a coward. Gong Taihua, everyone knows that you are blinded by greed and want to use the Blue Dragon King to increase your reputation. If you are really capable, then suppress your strength to the same level as the Azure Dragon King. Otherwise, don't come up with any nonsensical excuses. The saintess of the Yin-Yang Wonderland could not stand it anymore. She frowned and said in disgust, Humph, I can't be bothered to talk to a silly girl like you. Let me ask you one more time. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun, do you dare to fight me? Gong Taihua took a step forward and said aggressively. His words were filled with boundless arrogance. Everyone in the banquet was stunned by the sudden turn of events. This Gong Taihua had made up his mind to ruthlessly humiliate Xiao Chun today. He would not stop until he achieved his goal. Chun Ying, the saint of the five poison sect, drank a mouthful of wine with a cold expression. He looked at Xiao Chun and revealed a cold smile. That's right. This Chen Feng was so arrogant. Other than wanting to step on Xiao Chun and increase his reputation, it was also because of Chun Ying's instigation behind the scenes. The scene 3 days ago had humiliated Chun Ying. Now that he knew his father's intention, he had to step on Xiao Chun. How could the greater celestial emperor Wu lose against the Blue Dragon King? There's no need for that. You can say whatever you want. You. Chen Feng clenched his teeth in anger. Even at this point, Xiao Chun was still indifferent. Chen Feng, who was eager to fight, wanted to rush up and make a move. No matter how Chen Feng tried to provoke him, Xiao Chun ignored him. Looking at the anger on Chen Feng's face, Chen Feng did not lose interest. Wasn't this the kind of person a clown was used to describe? At the same time, on the floating walkway of Qingyan Restaurant, the old man in blue walked over step by step. With every step he took, the suppressed aura in his body grew stronger. Greetings, Elder Ma. The guards on both sides bowed when they saw him. Evidently, he had a high position in the five poison sect. He did not respond and continued walking. When he reached the end of the walkway, the aura of a fifth heaven emperor was as fierce as a volcano. Open the door, he said in a low voice. The doormen on both sides opened the door without hesitation. Elder Ma, why are you here? Men, bring a table and a chair over. On the main seat, Chen Feng was slightly surprised. However, he did not notice the change in Elder Ma's expression. He turned his head and instructed the maidservant beside him. While Zhang Xian was distracted, Elder Ma's aura burst forth from his body. With a deafening bang, a gust of qi swept out, blowing In Susu and the others back. The old man in blue drew his sword and turned it into a black venomous dragon that pierced toward Chen Feng. He was less than 100 meters away from Xiao Chun. Suddenly he unleashed his peak strike. No one had expected such a sudden change in the situation. Chen Feng's mouth was wide open. He did not expect this at all. He wanted to stop it, but it was too late. In an instant, he seemed to see Xiao Chun being torn into pieces by this sword. He was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. He had never thought of killing Xiao Chun. The Thunder King was missing, not dead. If the Thunder King took revenge, Chen Feng would lose all 9 of his lives here. Within 100 meters, there was no way for Xiao Chun to dodge the peak attack of a fifth heaven martial emperor that had been storing up power for a long time. Everyone cried out in their hearts. This was a sure death situation. The moment the blue-robed old man entered, he attacked immediately. He did not waste any words or show any signs. His target was Xiao Chun. The instant the other party made his move, Xiao Chen's heart sank. An aura of death spread in his heart. All the hair on Xiao Chen's body stood on end, and his body suddenly turned cold. This was a premonition of danger that he had not felt in a very long time. Xiao Chen did not even have time to think. If he wasted even a fraction of a second, he would die under the peak attack of this fifth heaven Emperor Wu. Explode. With his life hanging by a thread, Xiao Chen ferociously slammed his palm on the table. 3 spots of saber energy, as dazzling as the sun, erupted in his sea of consciousness. Since Xiao Chen comprehended saber energy, this was his first time activating 3 strands of saber energy at the same time. In that instant, Xiao Chen gave off a dazzling golden light, even more dazzling than the sun during the day. This was because that blazing sun was several tens of thousands of kilometers away, and could be seen with the naked eye. However, as Xiao Chen was too close, the light on his body could not be seen with the naked eye. Pussy eye. With a pop, apart from Chen Feng, the eyes of everyone present started bleeding from the piercing pain. It was incredibly painful, temporarily blinding them. Closely following that, an overwhelming saber intent soared into the sky from Xiao Chen's body. It instantly pierced through the roof of the soft cloud pavilion, which was covered in formations. All the disciples of the 5 poison sects headquarters above the poison cloud could see a saber light as bright as the blazing sun soaring into the clouds. Before this saber light, all the light in the surroundings dimmed. Suddenly the world turned dark. As for the inside of the pavilion, needless to say, it was plunged into boundless darkness. The saber intent that suddenly erupted from Xiao Chen's body finally managed to suppress the blue-robed old man's aura. The shock waves that erupted from the two clashed and exploded ferociously. The shock waves affected the entire soft cloud pavilion, causing it to shake violently. Although all this happened very slowly, it was only 1,000th of a breath of time. There was no time for anyone to think. The blue-robed old man's aura was slightly hindered. However, the peak attack that he executed after storing up power still advanced forward. Xiao Chen did not pause at all. He activated the 3 strands of saber energy. Just as the other party's sword was about to pierce his chest, he quickly moved back. Chapter 1334. Fish Dragon Art. Like a fish in water, thousands of changes. Xiao Chen moved back step by step. His body was like a fish in water, swaying back and forth. He left behind many afterimages layered over each other, looking hazy and blurry. Amid the thousands of afterimages, Xiao Chen's true body seemed to be hidden in a water screen, looking very blurry. However, the blue-robed old man had locked onto Xiao Chen's aura from the very start. No matter how Xiao Chen changed, the 3-meter-long sword kept pressing forward, not giving Xiao Chen a chance to move. After taking 10 steps back, Xiao Chen could no longer retreat. The blue-robed old man shouted, "Die! Don't even think about it." Xiao Chen roared in response. At this critical moment of life and death, he brought out all his potential. Fish Dragon Art. Blue Dragon goes to sea, shaking the heavens in one rage. Xiao Chen's aura suddenly changed. The spirit fish turned into a dragon as he drew his saber in anger. When the lunar shadow saber was drawn, the thousands of afterimages merged. Light and shadow changed in the darkness. Thousands of dazzling beams of light shot out from Xiao Chen's body, condensing into a heavy and sharp saber intent. The dazzling beams of light from the saber intent pierced the rather vast space, riddling it with holes. Dang! The moment Xiao Chen drew his saber, he managed to block that horrifying sword strike. A thunderous sound resounded throughout the entire 5 poison sect. Countless houses, buildings, pavilions, and small courtyards were shaken to pieces. Xiao Chen took 3 steps back. With each step, he vomited a large mouthful of blood. By the time Xiao Chen finished taking 3 steps back, his complexion was already frighteningly pale. Cracks appeared in his hands, which he used to block his saber. The pain was numb. Based on Xiao Chen's condition, it was clear that he was severely injured. However, he managed to block this sure-kill sword strike. As long as Xiao Chen blocked it, he created a chance for himself to survive. Everyone present was greatly startled. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen managed to block the peak sword strike of the 5th Heaven Emperor Wu, a sure-kill move. On the host seat, Chen Feng showed an extremely sullen expression. He shouted coldly and threw a palm strike at the blue-robed old man. This palm strike contained Chen Feng's full power, not showing any mercy. The dense killing intent made the air as viscous as ink. If the blue-robed old man dared to block it, he would definitely die. Only by retreating would he have a chance at survival. For him to be so heavy-handed and merciless, one could imagine how angry Chen Feng was. This kind of person who placed him in a disadvantageous position was equivalent to betrayal, and had to be killed. When Xiao Chen saw Chen Feng making a move, he heaved a sigh of relief. If Chen Feng had not made a move, with his current condition he would not have been able to block this attack. Do you think you are safe now? Blue Dragon King Xiao Chen, you will die today. A jade slip appeared in the blue-robed old man's hand, and he crushed it. The blue-robed old man and Xiao Chen vanished simultaneously. It was like they had left this world. Bang! With the sudden disappearance of the two of them, Chen Feng's furious attack naturally missed its target and landed on the ground. The entire building collapsed with a loud bang, turning into countless fragments that fluttered about in the air. The soft cloud pavilion was equipped with formations. Fighting Emperor Wu would not be a problem. However, after receiving Xiao Chen's overwhelming saber aura, the blue-robed old man's peak attack, and Chen Feng's furious attack, it was within expectations that they could not withstand it. When Chen Feng and the others arrived at where Xiao Chen and the blue-robed old man disappeared, they were all at a loss. After losing their sight temporarily, Yin Susu and the others recovered their vision. They were all astonished, their brains short-circuiting. What's going on? Why did Xiao Chen and that blue-robed old man suddenly disappear? Yin Susu asked, feeling extremely confused. Chen Feng clenched his teeth and said, "It's the dimensional talisman, a dimensional talisman unique to the deity race. It can create a separate dimension, independent of the Kunlun realm. Unless a prime makes a move, no one will be able to affect the two of them in that small dimension." Ah! The expression of the red-clothed lady behind Yin Susu changed. Doesn't that mean that the Blue Dragon King is dead for sure? It's over. We are all going to be implicated this time. The scholarly old man from the Heavenly Province Academy had an unsightly expression as well. He said coldly, "Sect Master Chen is truly unfathomable. First he hid the poison spirit from us, and now he still has this trick up his sleeves. How brilliant!" Chen Feng's expression was extremely gloomy, but he did not say anything. At this moment, the only one that was happy was probably Gong Taihua, who had been mocking Chen Feng earlier. That was a close call. He even managed to withstand the peak attack of the Fifth Heaven Emperor Wu. If he had accepted my challenge, I would have made a fool of myself in front of everyone and lost all my face. Fortunately, this fellow is dead for sure today. How can he survive being in the same dimension as a Fifth Heaven Emperor? In the small dimension, the blue-robed old man's tense heart relaxed instead. He had been extremely nervous during the assassination outside, fearing that Chen Feng would see through his disguise. Now that the blue-robed old man was in this small dimension, he could do whatever he wanted. He was just a brat who had not advanced to martial emperor. There was no need to disturb him. Blue Dragon King, sorry for the offense. This old man's lifespan is almost up and I need your head. I will exchange it for another 500 years of my lifespan. Sorry for the offense. The blue-robed old man had a relaxed expression as he smiled faintly. While the blue-robed old man was relaxed, Xiao Chen was even more relaxed. In the soft cloud pavilion, he had been restrained, worried about exposing his trump cards. In this mysterious space he could go all out. With so many trump cards, it would be strange if he could not toy with the other party to death. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "It might not go as you wish. Not only will you not live for 500 years, but you will also have to hand over your life here today." When the blue-robed old man heard that, he laughed loudly. "Blue Dragon King, unless you have a primordial emperor treasure that can break through this dimension, even a deity will not be able to save you. Is that so?" Xiao Chen smiled coldly and ferociously threw a palm strike. All the heavenly snow divine flame in the Buddhist lamp in the world in his palm surged out. Heavy snow flew, and the divine flame covered the sky. In an instant, the space in front turned into a land of ice. Before the blue-robed old man could react, The heavenly snow divine flame trapped him, burning him with ice and fire. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared in the space that the ice and fire froze. 3 seconds later, the blue-robed old man soared into the sky in a sorry state. After breaking free, he laughed loudly. Just an insignificant divine flame. And you want to burn me to death? A junior like you doesn't understand the might of a greater heavenly martial emperor. However, after the blue-robed old man finished laughing, he suddenly discovered that something was wrong. Xiao Chen had disappeared. Instead, 2 pillars as thick as mountains appeared in front of the blue-robed old man. There was also a powerful aura that rumbled down like a godly mountain descending from the sky. When the blue-robed old man looked up, he revealed an extremely horrified expression, completely stupefied. He swore that he had never seen such a scene in his life. Pa! A huge hand suddenly descended, smashing the blue-robed old man, who had just broken free, into a pool of blood. The might of Dermic world vanished, and Xiao Chen's figure shrank, returning to his original form. With ample time to execute his major magic skill, Xiao Chen did not suffer any severe repercussions. His expression remained the same, just somewhat unsightly. Boom. After the blue-robed old man died, the dimension shattered. The white-robed, white-haired Xiao Chen with a treasured saber at his waist suddenly appeared. When the few powerhouses who were worried about how to deal with the aftermath of Xiao Chen's death saw this familiar figure, they were so startled that their eyeballs nearly fell out. Naturally, the one with the most interesting expression was Gong Taihua. The dimension shattered, and Xiao Chen walked out alive. In that case, there was only one possibility. The blue-robed old man was dead. Everyone's minds buzzed. A 5th heaven martial emperor died, and the one who walked out alive was actually Xiao Chen. This was too inconceivable. Chen Feng walked over with a smile and said, "Little friend Xiao Chen, is it really you?" Xiao Chen nodded and said, "Yes, it is me." "Today's matter." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "I know. There is no need for Sect Master to explain. If Sect Master wanted to kill me, you had 1,000 ways to do it silently. How could you be so clumsy, sending an elder to kill me in the headquarters?" Chen Feng heaved a sigh of relief. The Blue Dragon King, Xiao Chen, was indeed as generous as the rumors said. Yin Susu's smile was like a flower. Her clear eyes sparkled as she looked at Xiao Chen. She curled her lips and said, "Young Master Xiao is truly incredible. You even killed a 5th heaven martial emperor. I recall that a certain 4th heaven martial emperor was very boastful, saying that he could defeat the Blue Dragon King with only half his strength." Yin Susu's laughter was like a mountain spring, extremely ear-piercing in Gong Taihua's ears. Gong Taihua lowered his head in shame, unable to refute her words. How could he refute? Did he have to prove that he was stronger than a 5th heaven martial emperor? Clearly, that was impossible. Not only was he weaker than the blue-robed old man, but he was also much weaker. However, now that Xiao Chen had even killed the blue-robed old man, it was like a heavy slap to his face. Weren't you always arrogant and despotic, saying that the other party was a coward, and was only SOSO? Now Xiao Chen had directly killed a 5th heaven martial emperor. What could be more convincing than this to slap his face with reality? But now he was just a small character. Just like what Xiao Chen said earlier, he was just a clown. Xiao Chen did not reply to Yin Susu. The others only looked at him with disdain and ignored him. Xiao Chen cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, thank you for your hospitality. I'm afraid I have to take my leave first." Instantly, Chen Feng felt disappointed and frustrated, as if something was stuck in his throat. "Young Master Xiao, after leaving the 5 Poison Sect, how about you come to our Yinyang paradise? We sisters have long wanted to see the true face of the Blue Dragon King." Yin Susu stepped forward and approached Xiao Chen, doing her best to invite him. The heavenly province Holy Sun received the voice projection from the elder behind him. He stepped forward as well and invited, "Blue Dragon King, how about you come to my Heavenly Province Academy? My Heavenly Province Academy has many historical sites, even remnants from the immortal epoch. The Blue Dragon King will definitely be interested." Seeing that Xiao Chen could even kill a 5th heaven martial emperor, the attitudes of the Yinyang Paradise and the Heavenly Province Academy changed drastically. On the other hand, Chen Feng, who had wanted to remain neutral earlier, felt regret in his heart when he saw the situation. However, he could not bring himself to do so, feeling regret. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Both sides were inviting him at the same time, putting him in a difficult position. He did not know where to go. However, this vexation was a happy one. If Tianyu she knew that not only did the assassination he arranged not work, but it even helped Xiao Chen, he would probably be frustrated to death. Even if he wanted to cry, he would not be able to do so. What could be more frustrating than this? Chapter 1335. Haha. Blue Dragon King, since you are already here, why are you in such a rush to leave? Just at that moment, a burst of laughter rang out in the sky. An imposing old man slowly walked over. A powerful aura emanated from his body, causing everyone to feel a wave of pressure. This was a ninth heaven sovereign martial emperor, an existence comparable to the three holy masters of the human race. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat as he guessed the other party's identity. The five-poison old man on the invitation was the one before him. When Chen Feng saw this old man, he immediately went forward to welcome him respectfully. Old sect master, why are you here? The five-poison old man snorted coldly. Chen Feng, you have to give me an explanation for the assassination of the Blue Dragon King. I told you to entertain the Blue Dragon King, but the Blue Dragon King nearly died. If this news spreads, how will the five-poison sect keep its face? If the Haotian Prime questions it, I will not know where to hide my old face. Chen Feng lowered his head and said, Old sect master, you are right. In the five-poison sect, the one with the highest authority was not the current sect master but the retired old sect master. Xiao Chen was somewhat surprised. He had not expected that the old sect master, who had already made his decision, would appear again. In that case, would the situation in the five-poison sect change? The five-poison old man asked the old men from the Yinyang Paradise and the Heavenly Province Academy. The five-poison old man said to the old men from the Yinyang Paradise and the Heavenly Province Academy, Haha, of course. Naturally, we do not have any objections. The two quickly nodded in agreement and left Xiao Chen's side at the same time. After a while, Xiao Chen and the five-poison old man appeared on the roof of a pavilion. When the five-poison old man saw Xiao Chen, the first thing he asked was, Blue Dragon King, can you tell me how you killed that fifth heaven martial emperor? Xiao Chen hesitated for a moment before opening his palm, and a Buddhist lamp slowly rose up. A hazy Buddhist voice echoed in the area. The Sarira floated in the air, giving off rings of Buddhist light. Within the Buddhist light, one could vaguely see an illusory Buddha. The five-poison old man narrowed his eyes as he stared at the heavenly snow divine flame in the Buddhist lamp. He asked uncertainly, This is a primal chaos level flame? Xiao Chen nodded. I just nurtured the primal chaos level heavenly snow divine flame to rank 1, and gain some special abilities. It can swallow up the primordial energy in the other party's body without them realizing it, temporarily reducing the other party's strength. When the five poisons elder heard this, he was startled. This Xiao Chen was really lucky. He also had a Buddhist lamp and a Sarira at the same time. Otherwise, when would he be able to raise his primordial chaos level flame to the first grade? However, that was not right. The heavenly snow divine flame alone could not kill a fifth heaven martial emperor. In the end, a rank 1 primal chaos level flame was still too weak. Even if Xiao Chen caught Elder Ma off guard and injured him, even swallowing up a lot of his primordial energy, Elder Ma still had his foundation. If he wanted to run, he would definitely be able to. A light flickered in the five poisons elder's eyes as he muttered, Just this heavenly snow divine flame alone cannot kill Elder Ma. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. This five poisons elder's eyes were really sharp. However, Xiao Chen had no intention of telling the other party about his Dermic World trump card. Dermic World was an immortal art major magic skill, Xiao Chen's greatest trump card. It could allow him to instantly change the situation. Once he revealed it, his opponent would be on guard, and he would lose the sure kill effect. After all, this Dermic World lasted only a few seconds. It relied on catching the opponent off guard, and killing instantly. Xiao Chen nodded and said, Indeed, I still have my greatest trump card. However, please forgive me. I cannot tell Senior about this trump card. Ha ha ha. This old man still understands this principle. I thought about it. The 5 poison sects startled you this time, so we owe you a favor. How do you want to repay me in the future? Just say the word. The 5 poison old man said with a loud laugh. He did not mind that Xiaochen did not tell him about his trump card. Xiaochen rejoiced in his heart, with the 5 poisons elder saying that he had tactfully changed his original decision to remain neutral. Many thanks, Senior. Outside the pavilion, Chen Feng, Chen Ning, and Gong Taihua waited anxiously. Chen Ning appeared distracted. His voice sounded somewhat weak as he asked, Father, is it certain that the 5 poison sect will side with the Dragon's Gate? Chen Feng nodded. Most likely. The strength that this Blue Dragon King displayed is too shocking. The Yinyang Paradise and the Heavenly Province Academy will definitely place their future on him. The old sect master will have to make some changes. Times have changed. Chen Ying's expression changed slightly, appearing extremely dissatisfied. As for Gong Taihua, his expression changed greatly, feeling extremely depressed and conflicted. Chen Feng waved his hand and said, Oh right. Elder Gong, when the Blue Dragon King comes out, apologize to him. What? Me apologize to him? Gong Taihua exclaimed in shock. Chen Feng's eyes widened and he barked. Why? You're not willing? Gong Taihua could feel the pressure from Chen Feng. Cold sweat dripped down his back as he sighed. I only have myself to blame. When he comes out, I'll personally apologize to him. After Xiaochen ended his conversation with the 5 poison old man, he walked out calmly. He just smiled at Gong Taihua's apology and did not kick him when he was down. When he came out of the pavilion, the 2 elders from the Heavenly Province Academy and the Yinyang Paradise kept pestering Xiaochen. This put Xiaochen in a difficult position. He couldn't reject the hospitality of both parties, so it wouldn't be good for him to visit either one first. Xiaochen wanted to visit the Heavenly Province Academy first. He was interested in the Taoist remnant that the other party mentioned, but seeing Yin Susu's pitiful eyes, he couldn't bear to refuse. Moreover, Yin Susu had spoken up for him earlier. In the end, Xiaochen decided to go to the Yinyang Paradise first. However, he guaranteed that he would head to the Heavenly Province Academy after leaving the Yinyang Paradise. 2 days later, the news of the failed assassination reached the ears of the Divine Daughter, Tianyushi. Even after the 5th Heaven Emperor Wu wasted a dimensional divine talisman, he still could not kill Xiaochen. This greatly shocked Tianyushi. Could it be that only sovereign martial emperors could kill Xiaochen now? However, no matter which faction, sovereign martial emperors were the peak combat prowess, extremely rare. If Xiaochen rashly used a sovereign martial emperor, it would trigger an all-out war. However, it was not time yet. Clearly, it was not the time for an all-out war. Furthermore, if they sent out a sovereign martial emperor and still let Xiaochen escape, the losses would outweigh the gains. After the shock came rage, and Tianyushi's face flushed red. Tianyushi's dignified face flushed slightly in anger. This time, not only did the assassination fail, but it even helped Xiaochen succeed. The 3 holy lands of the Eastern Sea had all agreed to help Xiaochen at the crucial moment. This was the so-called going for wool and coming home shorn. Tianyushi felt extremely depressed in her heart. She felt like there was a rock blocking her chest, feeling extremely uncomfortable. When the news of Xiaochen killing a 5th Heaven Martial Emperor and obtaining the support of the 3 holy lands spread, the entire heavenly starry ocean was set abuzz. The Dragon's Gate's Xiaochen's reputation soared, and the might of the deity Dao Union was suppressed. There was simply no chance for the deity Dao Union to turn the situation around. The resulting chain reaction was that most of the 9 ranks of the great families chose to wait and see at this moment. The sects that had promised the deity race all returned the great gifts that the deity race sent. This caused Tianyushi to feel a great sense of defeat and helplessness. Now the entire heavenly starry ocean was discussing where Xiaochen would go next. The Blue Dragon King's aura flourished like the sun in the sky. Divine Daughter, there is no need to worry. When the Divine Son comes out of closed-door cultivation, he will definitely be able to turn the situation around and suppress Xiaochen in one go. There is a saying, the higher one flies, the harder one falls. Let's see how long he can remain cocky. Qin Xiu, who had messed up, consoled Xiao Chen. Tianyushi rubbed his forehead and said softly, I have confidence in the Divine Sun. As long as he comes out of closed-door cultivation, all the problems will be easily solved. However, I fear that when he comes out, all the holy lands of the heavenly starry ocean will be finished. Qin Xiu said, There is no need to be afraid. There is still the Northern Sea Alliance. Since Xiao Hoju said that he is confident, he should be able to make Xiao Chen's backyard burn. When he gets flustered, we can use all our trump cards on the Lunar Palace. Tianyushi nodded heavily and said, That's right. The Lunar Palace. We have to take down the Lunar Palace. No matter how many holy lands Xiao Chen obtains, as long as the Lunar Palace supports the deity Dao Union, all his efforts will go to waste. Qin Xiu smiled and said, Furthermore, the Lunar Palace had a deep grudge with the Qing Emperor back then. During the Four Seas Hero Gathering, the Lunar Palace's palace master even chased Xiao Chen away. After analyzing everything, Tianyushi calmed down. She stood up and paced around calmly before saying, Xiao Chen always felt that the Northern Sea Alliance would not require much effort. It was like his backyard. His next stop should be the Zodiac Hall. Uncle Qin, do you think we can stop him? Qin Xiu said after some thought, The Zodiac Hall is rather difficult to deal with. There are many factions in the heavenly starry ocean. In terms of accumulations, the first is the Lunar Palace, and the second is the Zodiac Hall. However, from the start to the end, that cyclic astral lord has never intended to meet us. Tianyushi shook her head and said, This cyclic astral lord is a wily old fox. He sees things very clearly. He directly stated that building a shrine in the cyclic astral palace's territory is tantamount to declaring war. Qin Xiu said coldly, He does not know how to appreciate favors. Now is a heaven-sent opportunity. With the Thunder King not around, this is a great opportunity for our deity race to unify the Kunlun realm. No one can stop this trend. Tianyushi waved his hand and said, Don't say that again. Now is not the time to bare your fangs. How about we go and meet the treasure master? Qin Xiu suggested. When Tianyushi heard about the treasure master, she revealed a grave expression. Let me think about it. The deity sovereign told me that even he could not see through this treasure master. If we can avoid meeting him, we should avoid meeting him. Otherwise he will see through our trump cards. However, the Blue Dragon King's momentum is very strong. The Divine Sun is still in closed-door cultivation, and the personal disciples of the Dongyue Ghost Emperor and the Heaven-Punishing Corpse God have not arrived yet. We do not have many pawns that we can use. See, indecisiveness would only lead to chaos. After thinking for a while, Tianyushi finally made up his mind. He would listen to the Treasure Master's suggestion on how to stop Xiao Chen from convincing the cyclic astral lord. If necessary, he could use the Treasure Master's strength. Xiao Chen remained in the Eastern Sea for half a month. He spent most of that time in the Heavenly Province Academy. Chapter 1336. The Taoist and Confucian relics in the Academy fascinated him. If not for the urgency of time, he would have stayed longer. This trip could be considered a great harvest. The three immortal Holy Lands all agreed that at the crucial moment, as long as Xiao Chen gave the word, they would go all out. Just as Tianyushi had guessed, his next destination was indeed the Zodiac Hall, the Holy Land that he had many grudges with. The Saint Fu Hongxue and the Saint Chu Yang both hated him to the core. At a crucial moment like this, he would be thanking the heavens if he didn't step on the other party. It would be difficult for him to count on the other party's help. As for the Moon Palace, which was even more powerful than the Zodiac Hall, that was a pain in Xiao Chen's heart. He had been chased out of the Four Seas Hero Gathering in a sorry state, and said that he was never welcome there. He didn't dare to think about it, and he couldn't be bothered to think about it. Finally, the remaining major faction of the Heavenly Starry Ocean was the Northern Sea Alliance. In Xiao Chen's opinion, this should not be too difficult. All he had to do was go and let them know. Strolling on the surface of the sea, Xiao Chen identified the direction of the Zodiac Hall and leaped like a dragon, moving as fast as lightning. He had both the swiftness of a dragon and the dexterity of a fish. With both at the same time, he was like a fish in water in the air. In the past, when one's speed reached a certain limit, the air would become the biggest obstacle. Now that Xiao Chen executed the fish dragon art, he could use the air as his resistance, raising his speed to another level. At this speed, after 3 days, Xiao Chen arrived at the sea where the Zodiac Hall was located. As one of the 3 peak holy lands of the heavenly starry ocean, the Zodiac Hall covered an extremely vast sea region. Aside from the sea region, all the major factions within 5,000 kilometers were attached to the Astral Palace. After passing through the subsidiary sea regions, a strange and colorful scene appeared in front of Xiao Chen. There were no ripples on the vast surface of the sea. It was like a bright mirror, full of spirituality. One could imagine an ocean that spanned millions of square kilometers, neatly arranged like a mirror in front of one's eyes. One could imagine how majestic it was. During the day, in this mirror-like sea region, only a huge sun was reflected in it. The sun in the water was dazzling and piercing, as if there really was a huge fireball burning wildly in the water. The blazing sunlight reflected each other, making it impossible to see with the naked eye. The countless buildings of the Astral Palace, including the pavilions, seemed to have disappeared. In the boundless sea, there was only a great sun. Apart from that, nothing else existed. Xiao Chen watched from afar, feeling shocked in his heart. The cyclic Astral Palace's accumulations were deep, not something the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace could compare to. The cyclic Astral Palace was right before his eyes, but he could not enter. This mysterious formation was somewhat vexing. The god, Aster, to the Zodiac Spirit Sect. Xiao Chen thought to himself as he looked at the sun in the water. Logically speaking, the cyclic Astral Palace should have sensed his arrival. Xiao Spirit. As for, with, as he to the Chen the god sect the sea, and the for. An invisible barrier blocked Xiao Chen's spiritual sense 1 kilometer in front, preventing it from entering. The formation looked extremely simple, and there was no danger at all. It was as if one could just walk into it. However, Xiao Chen's sharp intuition told him that it was dangerous enough to threaten his life. Zodiac Hall's lair would not be so simple. Go. After thinking hard, Xiao Chen could not figure it out. So he pointed with his finger and executed the life bestowal spell. It even materialized Xiao Chen's image and flew forward. Whoosh! Without any warning, hundreds of dazzling lights suddenly appeared in the vast sky above the sea in front of them. The lights flickered and gave off a resplendent light, looking like a miniature sun. Pain. Xiao Chen's eyes hurt. He took 2 steps back and covered his eyes, rubbing them gently. When he opened his eyes again, the vast sea had returned to normal. As for the clone that Xiao Chen formed with the life bestowal spell, its entire body was burning. In mere moments, it evaporated into steam. Horror flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. Indeed, it was not as simple as he thought. If his true body charged over, the attack he would receive would be 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger. The moment Xiao Chen covered his eyes, he saw that resplendent sun-like light very clearly. That was the purest solar true flame. Furthermore, there was not just one but thousands upon thousands of them. When all of them gathered together, the might was unimaginable to Xiao Chen. That was not all. The vast solar true flame under the sea did not move at all. If it really moved, it might even injure a prime, right? It looked like there would be no more opportunities during the day. Xiao Chen thought for a while, and decided to wait until night to see the situation. Time passed. When the sun set in the west and the last of its afterglow vanished, the entire sky turned dark. The entire sky turned dark, and the stars twinkled. Together with the moon, it was a magnificent sight. As Xiao Chen stood on the sea, it felt like he could reach the stars just by stretching out his hand. At the same time, it also felt like it was unreachable. Many stars flickered on the surface of the sea as well. At this moment, the sea and the sky seemed to merge into one. What was even more miraculous was that the many palaces that could not be seen with the naked eye were too dazzling during the day. When night fell, these palaces all appeared out of nowhere on the surface of the sea. They were like night pearls of the vast sea, giving off a gentle light. They attracted the starlight of the universe to descend. Many beams of starlight gathered and intertwined, looking very dazzling, dense but not gaudy. When Xiao Chun was among them, he felt rueful. The so-called fantasy world was probably nothing more than this. He could see that the railings of the many palaces were all filled with people with arrogant expressions in their eyes. There was an arrogant look in their eyes as they conversed with each other. Their gazes were all focused on him. The Big Dipper Palace, the South Dipper Palace, the Moon Palace, the Sun Palace, the Moon Palace. All the palaces were filled with Astral Palace disciples. As they watched the famous Blue Dragon King of the heavenly starry ocean get blocked outside the formation, they pointed at him and whispered to each other, laughing endlessly. Xiao Chun could see everyone looking at him with his naked eye. However, the formless barrier made it seem like he was in a different world from the people of the Astral Palace, never having any contact. 3 of Xiao Chun's old friends were coldly eyeing him from the Sun Palace. On the left was the holy daughter Fu Hongxue, and on the right was Yi Ling, whom Xiao Chun could not guess. Life bestowal spell. Xiao Chun pointed and tried again. Thousands of figures leaped out of the seawater, advancing wave after wave, covering the sky as they charged forward. Whoosh! The pillars of starlight above the 3,000 palaces swept out and crushed Xiao Chun's clones like they were dry weeds. A brilliant light appeared in Xiao Chun's eyes. He instantly memorized the positions of all the pillars of starlight. Then he pushed off with his feet and charged over. As Xiao Chun walked on the surface of the sea, the wind howled in his ears, and his white robes flapped noisily. Beams of light condensed from starlight either swept over, chopped down, or fell from the sky. There were so many of them, and they were ever-changing. Immediately, all the starlight gathered around Xiao Chun. Everywhere else was pitch black. In the darkness, the gazes of countless Astral Palace disciples focused on Xiao Chun, who was surrounded by the gathering starlight. Amid the complicated attacks of the starlight filling the sky, Xiao Chun alternated between the front and back, his figure drifting gracefully. Sometimes he turned into a dragon and soared into the sky in a rage. Sometimes he turned into a fish, changing thousands of times. Xiao Chun brought out the fish-dragon art to its limits. Amid this chaotic and gorgeous attack, not a single speck of starlight touched him. Boom, boom, boom. The seawater surged, and the waves rose up like pillars. Xiao Chun's white robes and white hair looked like he was dancing with the stars. His supreme grace made the stars lose their color. Xiao Chun's figure attracted all the Astral Palace disciples, intoxicated by his dreamy dance, forgetting about the even more resplendent starlight. The stars twinkle, dancing for me. Time went by. Xiao Chun figured out the attack power of the starlight, and heaved a sigh of relief. The Astral Palace's upper echelon still had not forced him into a dead end. The attack of this starlight was not that strong. Furthermore, there did not seem to be anyone managing this formation. Indeed, this is a test for me. There is still a weakness. Otherwise, even a sovereign martial emperor would not be able to clear it. In that case, let's draw the lunar shadow saber. Whoosh! A melodious saber hum silently resounded in the sky. As this saber hum rang out, Xiao Chun's aura changed. A sharp light radiated from his entire body, no longer suppressing him. Xiao Chun drew his saber and advanced bravely. The saber hum turned into an aura. He chopped through the starlight and shattered the waves. He was like a true dragon descending, unstoppable. Up at the Sun Palace, the expressions of the 3 changed slightly, shock flashing in their eyes. Chu Yang rapped on the railing with one hand and said softly, "Hongxue, go and take a look." Fu Hongxue nodded gently. Then his figure drifted higher and higher under the illumination of the full moon. After a while, Fu Hongxue's sword-wielding figure seemed to merge with the moon. Fu Hongxue merged with the moon, flying in the sky. As her sword fluttered, she attracted all the starlight in the world. Just as Xiao Chun was about to cross the barrier, Fu Hongxue narrowed his eyes in the bright moon and pointed. A sword intent surged out, and a heavenly immortal sword descended from the moon. Xiao Chun, who was advancing forward with an indomitable will, suddenly felt an extremely dangerous aura. His entire body turned cold, and he pulled back and retreated. Bang! Xiao Chun barely dodged this sword strike. However, the shock wave that spread out knocked him back, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. It was hard to imagine what the consequences would be if this sword strike struck him. Just as Xiao Chun heaved a sigh of relief after surviving a calamity, an unexpected attack shot out from the sea region of Zodiac Hall. There was a starry sky under the sea. It was the same bright moon and the same sword. This sword strike caught Xiao Chun off guard. A large hole opened in his chest, and blood gushed out like a fountain. As Xiao Chun retreated, the blood splattered into the night sky. The blood mixed with the starlight, giving off a mesmerizing light. Xiao Chun retreated quickly. As he looked at the scarlet moonlight, his eyes turned hazy. He forgot about pain, time, and all the distractions. This scene was very miserable. That person's white robes were stained with blood. Blood gushed out of the wound on his chest, dyeing the night sky red. However, one could clearly see a trace of stubbornness in those hazy eyes under the illumination of the stars. Chapter 1337. Ha 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 ha. Blue Dragon King Xiao Chun. Even if you subdued the myriad fiend island, and made the lands of the eastern seas 3 holy masters submit to you, you are nothing before my astral palace. You cannot even enter these gates. Chu Yang suddenly reared his head back and laughed. The depression that had accumulated in his heart for many years erupted with this scene. Chu Yang suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. The depression that had accumulated in his heart for many years completely erupted with this scene. There was no place in his body that did not feel comfortable. Chu Yang even vaguely felt that his strength had improved. The heart demon that Xiao Chun created for him was broken at this moment. The young treasure master, Yi Ling, smiled faintly and said, I already said that as long as I can convince the Astral Palace Master to open the infinite world Yin-Yang twin star formation, I will definitely be able to block Xiao Chun and humiliate him. Chu Yang felt very carefree. He shouted, Xiao Chun, if you beg me, I will open the doors to the Astral Palace and give you a chance. Xiao Chun's mind was clear, not disturbed by any external factors. What was hope? Fighting with others, fighting with oneself, fighting with the heavens. One could not ask for it, and could not ask for it. An opportunity given by others could not become hope. One could only fight. If Xiao Chun could not break it during the day or at night, when could he break this formation? Suddenly, inspiration flashed in Xiao Chun's heart as he thought of something. Heaven never bars one's way. Since the Astral Palace Master used this formation to test him, there had to be a way to break it. I figured it out. As Xiao Chun landed, a hazy glow appeared in the distant east. Dawn was approaching. Right now the moon waned, and the sun rose. This was the boundary between day and night. Be it the power of the sun or the power of the moon, they were at their weakest. In the next moment, the morning sun flickered, and dawn arrived. Xiao Chun took out the cycle banner and materialized 5 layers of starlight. Massacre, death, ruin, despair, and grief. Then a 5-colored wall of starlight appeared behind him. Seizing this fleeting opportunity, Xiao Chun shouted and gathered all his primordial energy into the cycle banner. Then he ferociously thrust it forward. Kacha kacha. This strike that gathered all of Xiao Chun's strength was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It swept through everything in its path, and created a path of starlight. The cycle banner was extraordinarily fast. One moment, Chu Yang felt that it was far away. The next moment, it had already arrived before him. The sudden attack frightened him so much that his face turned pale, and he retreated hastily. Just when he had nowhere to retreat, he closed his eyes in despair. A delicate hand grabbed the flagpole. When the tip of the flag was only an inch away from the tip of his nose, it stopped. Chu Yang couldn't open his eyes due to the strong wind brought by the war flag. The wind was so loud that his long hair was blown backwards. When he opened his eyes again, he saw the sun rising in the east, scattering down endless golden light. The white figure bathed in the golden sunlight was too dazzling and blurry. It gave him the feeling that he was a god, supreme and supreme. The entire Star Palace fell silent. When they saw the white figure charging in, they were completely stunned. The wound on his chest was slowly healing. On the surface, it was no longer a big problem. However, that sword chi contained a soft yin chi. It could not be completely eliminated in a short time. Xiao Chun withdrew his hand, and the cycle banner instantly entered the universe ring. The young treasure master, Yiling, opened his eyes wide. He looked a few times before he was sure that Xiaochen had really come up. Xiaochen had broken through the seal of the limitless heaven and earth-sun formation and arrived at the Sun Palace. Something that was originally thought to be impossible actually happened to Xiaochen. Xiaochen had been entrusted by Tianyushi. After putting in so much effort, he finally managed to convince the cyclic astral lord. Unexpectedly, this was the result. Chu Yang recovered his wits and looked at Xiaochen's familiar face. He was originally feeling very comfortable. Xiaochen, who was originally feeling very comfortable, fell from the clouds to the ground. His heart pounded wildly, and his breathing turned ragged. His complexion turned increasingly darker. Why is it like this? I clearly blocked him, but he still managed to break through. Could it be that I, Chu Yang, am really inferior to him? As the Sun Palace's holy son, I am not even half as good as him? The pain, conflict, and depression in Chu Yang's heart caused his heart to race even faster. When Xiaochen saw the other party's state, he frowned slightly. This Chu Yang's emotional state was in chaos, like he was about to enter a state of berserking qi deviation. Bang! Suddenly, Xiaochen stepped forward and ferociously smashed a palm strike on Chu Yang's chest. Pussy eye. Chu Yang vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying back. Xiaochen, what are you trying to do? The Moon Palace's holy daughter floated down from the sky. When she saw this scene, her expression changed drastically. She quickly went over to support Chu Yang and spoke to Xiaochen with murderous intent. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time, the palaces above the sea that looked like night pearls emitted killing intent at the same time, locking onto Xiaochen. The atmosphere immediately turned extremely tense. Old men flew out from the palaces in the surroundings. After a while, they surrounded Xiaochen, blocking all his escape routes. Don't attack! Don't attack! Chu Yang shouted quickly when he saw this scene. At this moment, Chu Yang's complexion was pale, and he appeared weak. However, he was clearly much more relaxed. Chu Yang's breathing turned calm, and he suddenly felt more at ease. His earlier extreme state immediately vanished. Chu Yang, what's going on? The Moon Palace's holy daughter asked somewhat anxiously. Chu Yang waved his hand and looked at Xiaochen. After a long silence, he said, "Many thanks." That was right. It was indeed the word many thanks. To think that Chu Yang actually said these two words. Yiling and the Moon Palace's holy daughter felt somewhat shocked. Xiaochen said calmly, "It was just a casual action. No matter who it is, they cannot make him enter a state of berserking qi deviation before me." In the earlier palm strike, Xiaochen did not kill Chu Yang. He only dredged up the blood near the other party's heart meridian. This allowed Chu Yang to calm down and not dwell on it. Many times, when a person entered a state of berserking qi deviation, it was just a moment of rashness. After one truly entered a state of berserking qi deviation, it was extremely difficult to turn back. At the crucial moment, there was someone to help Chu Yang calm down. After he thought things through, he would feel that it was no big deal. Young Treasure Master Yiling, you should go first. I will invite you to the Cyclic Astral Palace as a guest another day. Chu Yang said calmly as he faced Yiling. When Yiling heard this, his expression changed slightly. To think that Chu Yang wanted to chase him away. How could he allow this? Chu Yang, we already agreed to chase this fellow out of the Cyclic Astral Palace together. Don't tell me that you forgot all the humiliation you suffered in the past just because he struck you with a palm strike. Chu Yang had just experienced great ups and downs, coming back from the brink of entering a state of berserking qi deviation. He immediately figured out many things that he could not figure out. When Xiaochen saw Yiling trying to sow dissension, he said sullenly, "The so-called humiliation is just a thought. If you think too highly of yourself, that is humiliation. If you think too lowly of yourself, that is not humiliation. In this world, no one is the main character. No one is nobler than anyone else. Could it be that you can't even endure some grievances? How can there be no twists and turns on the path of cultivation? As long as you do your best and feel at ease, it is fine. How many people seek a moment of pleasure and become restless? How could they truly care about your life or death? Take a good look and see who your true friend is. Yiling retorted angrily. Xiaochen, stop quibbling. What do you mean I seek a moment of pleasure, and do not care about Chu Yang's life or death? Xiaochen's eyes remained calm, not showing any ripples. He said calmly, is that not the case? There is no need for you to retort. Time will prove whether what I said is right or wrong. How many people seek a moment of pleasure, and do not truly care about your life or death? Who is your true friend? Chu Yang's heart was greatly shaken. He repeatedly chewed on this sentence in his mind. He felt as if he was suddenly enlightened, and he instantly understood. Well said. Those who can give you a moment of pleasure and relieve your worries are not your friends. Those who can give you a lifetime of pleasure without regrets, seeking freedom and peace of mind, are true friends. As the two argued, a youth with exquisite facial features and eyes like stars and gems walked over with large strides, leading a group of old men. As he walked, he exuded an extraordinary aura. It was as if all the light in the world had gathered on him. His charm was boundless, overshadowing everyone else's brilliance. Greetings, Star Lord. The disciples of the thousands of palaces and the tens of thousands of astral palaces, disciples saw this person suddenly appear. In fear and trepidation he knelt down and said respectfully. Chu Yang and the Holy Maiden of Moon Palace were both startled. They hurriedly cupped their hands and bowed. Greetings, Master. It turned out that this person was the cyclic astral lord. Indeed, he possessed boundless charm and a strong aura. Xiaochen performed a cupped fist salute and bowed slightly. The young treasure master, Yiling, did not feel satisfied in his heart. Being criticized by the astral lord without even mentioning him made him feel extremely upset. However, Xiaochen still had to pay his respects. He said with a sullen expression, Young treasure master Yiling greets the astral lord. The cyclic astral lord looked at Yiling and smiled. Do you think I do not know what the treasure master is thinking? I am also very clear on your purpose in coming here. However, I still have to thank Chu Yang for convincing me to activate the infinite heaven and earth formation of extreme yin and yang. Yiling immediately felt anxious. He wanted to explain, but the cyclic astral lord interrupted him. You can go now. Pass a message to the treasure master for me. Others might not know his background, but I do. Don't let me get my hands on any evidence. Otherwise, I will smack him to death at any time. Feeling the cyclic astral lord's murderous intent, Yiling's heart sank. He was so frightened that his body started trembling. Yes, this junior will leave now. After saying that, Yiling glared at Xiaochen hatefully. Then he boarded the golden war chariot and left in a crestfallen manner. The cyclic astral lord appeared to be in a good mood. He took out a bottle of medicinal pills and handed it to Xiaochen. He said, Blue Dragon King, the lunar sword qi in your body will not be removed for at least half a month. There is a Shenyang pill in there. It can help you recover in 3 days. Xiaochen received the jade bottle and opened it to take a sniff. Immediately, a fiery aura turned into a warm current flowing through his body. His wounds immediately felt much better. Many thanks. The cyclic astral lord smiled faintly. Then he looked at Chu Yang and said, Today you experience great ups and downs, right and wrong. I believe you will be able to see things more clearly. Take advantage of this opportunity and enter closed-door cultivation. Within 3 months, you will definitely reach consummation blue-robed emperor. Yes. Chu Yang bowed respectfully and withdrew quietly with the Moon Palace's holy daughter. All of you withdraw. I want to have a private chat with the Blue Dragon King. Xiaochen looked at the surrounding cyclic astral palace disciples and the elders with respectful expressions. He thought to himself, this cyclic astral lord reminds me of the words hero and heroine. The cyclic astral lord naturally has a charisma that makes people respect him and want to get close to him. He truly lives up to his reputation as a hero and heroine. Speaking of which, you are really bold. Back then, during the Dragon's Gate's re-establishment ceremony, I was the greatest opponent behind the scenes. How did you get the guts to come to my Zodiac Hall? Are you not afraid that I will smack you to death with one palm strike? The cyclic astral lord asked interestedly. The cyclic astral lord's tone was relaxed, like he was just casually asking. However, he inadvertently put a lot of pressure on Xiaochen. This was the first time Xiao Chen met with someone with such a strong aura. He was not in a rush to speak. After he calmed himself, he said sullenly, I cannot figure out the cyclic astral lord's heart. However, I can see the world that the cyclic astral lord sees. Hence I'm here. Chapter 1338. The cyclic astral lord smiled faintly. His handsome face was like a bright star suddenly flickering in the dark starry heavens. However, the cyclic astral lord did not ask Xiao Chen what the world looked like to him. Instead, he spoke of something else. What do you think of the limitless world's sun and moon formation? Xiao Chen replied without hesitation. It is very strong. If I guessed right, there should be someone managing it in every palace. This is especially so for the sun and the moon. There should be 2 peak experts controlling them. If they unleash their full might, even a prime would not be able to barge in. The formation that I saw was just the tip of the iceberg. They purposely hid a weakness from me. Surprise flashed in the cyclic astral lord's eyes as he asked, What do you mean? Xiao Chen answered honestly. The moon wanes and the sun rises. This weakness is too obvious. Given the cyclic astral palace's long accumulations, someone would have noticed this weakness and tried to improve it. The cyclic astral lord smiled and said, Good eyes. However, you are still too humble. I originally guessed that you would have to observe for at least 3 days before you could find this weakness. Who would have thought that just as dawn broke, you would seize this fleeting opportunity? I relied on the cycle banner to break it. If it were an ordinary person, even if they knew this weakness, they would not be able to enter so easily. Cycle banner, let me take a look. The cyclic astral lord took the cycle banner from Xiao Chen's hands and gently waved it. The scarlet banner flapped loudly, giving off a sound like the waves of the sea. Aside from 2 of the 7 astral pearls on the banner, the other 5 lit up. The astral pearls they gave off were 10 times more resplendent than when they were in Xiao Chen's hands. They immediately suppressed the sunlight, suddenly making night appear. Whoosh! The cyclic astral lord swept up the banner and praised, Not bad. However, this refining technique is somewhat crude. I'll help you refine it. There should be some breakthroughs in the quality of this banner. Xiao Chen rejoiced in his heart. No one in the world could compare to the cyclic astral lord in refining astral banners. However, how unfortunate. Could there be a change? Xiao Chen asked doubtfully. Cyclic astral lord, what unfortunate? Unfortunately, I only have the pain throne. If I had the destruction throne, I would be able to complete your astral banners. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned before he reacted. How was this a pity? It was clearly a pleasant surprise. Suppressing his excitement, Xiao Chen asked, Astral Lord, Xiao Chen I Cyclic Astral Lord, Saint, Astral Lord Sea Cloud. I, Xiao Chen said, Jade Sovereign I, Astral Lord, Sun, Astral. King Dragon, Chen said, I King, if World King should he the Xiao Chen said. Dragon King, Chen, comma, Chen. In fact, he even obtained one of the thrones. The cyclic astral lord continued. It looks like you want to comprehend the state of cycle. This is extremely difficult to comprehend. After you advance to Martial Emperor, I can accompany you to the Mirage Immortal Palace to take a look at the ancient stone wall with the cycle arts and try your luck. In that case, many thanks, Cyclic Astral Lord. The Cyclic Astral Lord smiled casually and said, It's just a small matter. I'll help you keep the cycle banner first. I'll bring you around the Cyclic Astral Palace. Xiao Chen felt suspicious. He was not afraid of the Cyclic Astral Lord swallowing his cycle banner. He found it strange that the Cyclic Astral Lord thought so highly of him. After all, in the past, the Cyclic Astral Palace was part of the camp that suppressed Xiao Chen. I'll just take a look. Xiao Chen did not say anything as he followed the Cyclic Astral Lord around the various places of the Zodiac Hall. Along the way, the Cyclic Astral Lord gave Xiao Chen a detailed explanation of the history of the various Cyclic Astral Palaces, as well as some interesting news. However, the Cyclic Astral Lord did not mention anything about Xiao Chen's purpose for coming here at all, puzzling him. Xiao Chen maintained his composure. He chatted casually before such a major character, occasionally offering some insights. This made the cyclic astral lord's eyes light up. The two of them were like best friends, walking around everywhere and chatting happily. Xiaochen could be considered a fox borrowing the tiger's might to intimidate the cyclic astral lord. As he walked, the people of the cyclic astral palace, from the elders to the disciples, all showed him great respect. Come, I'll bring you to a place that will interest you. After touring all the cyclic astral palaces, the cyclic astral lord led Xiaochen into the sea. Splash. The two entered the water and sank continuously. Splash. The moment Xiaochen entered the water, he was greatly startled. At the bottom of the sea, separated by boundless seawater, he could see a huge golden fireball burning continuously. Xiaochen clearly knew that the golden fireball was very far away. However, he still felt like he could touch it just by stretching out his hand. Beside the golden fireball was a slightly weaker clump of pale white flame. Solar true flame and lunar true flame. Xiaochen was suddenly startled. Could it be that the flame reflected in the water was not an illusion? Instead, it truly existed? If it was real, how shocking would that be? That should not be wrong. The 5 poison sect could cover the entire island with a 7-colored poison cloud. The Zodiac Hall had even deeper accumulations. How could it not have other trump cards? The two sank for an unknown distance. There were many guards along the way, but the cyclic astral lord dismissed them with a wave of his hand. There is a small dimensional formation in front. I'll bring you through it, and you will be able to see the true accumulations of the Zodiac Hall. The cyclic astral lord grabbed Xiaochen and leaped forward. The scene before them suddenly changed. Surging heat waves surged over. Xiaochen looked to the front and saw a 10-kilometer-wide flame pool covered in formation patterns. It contained incredibly pure solar true flame and lunar true flame. The quantity of the two was the same, maintaining a good balance. However, they could not truly merge. At this moment, the sun was setting over the sea, causing the solar true flame before them to burn fiercely. As for the lunar true flame, it was deathly still. It would probably release its light only at night. Dida. Dida. Drops of golden flames above Xiaochen looked like water droplets. They formed a line and fell rhythmically into the solar true flame. Xiaochen was so shocked that he could not speak. He could sense that the drops of solar true flame were extremely pure and of high quality, at least rank 9. This is the wealth that the Zodiac Hall accumulated over tens of thousands of years. How is it? I heard that you cultivate these 2 flames as well. Xiaochen smiled bitterly and said, It is not worth mentioning. It is not worth mentioning. Xiaochen's solar true flame and lunar true flame were only rank 5. The main reason was that the lunar true flame was too difficult to collect. The two needed to maintain a balance, which held back Xiaochen's rhythm. Compared to the flames before him, not only the quantity, but also the quality were worlds apart. They were not worth mentioning at all. If Xiaochen completely grasped this flame before him, the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram he formed would be extremely horrifying. That's right. This lunar true flame and solar true flame are extremely difficult to collect. I'll give you some then. The cyclic astral lord casually waved his hand, and a huge golden crow and a flaming phoenix leaped out of the flame pool before him. The golden crow was made of the solar true flame, and the flaming phoenix was made of the lunar true flame. They spread their wings and flew, looking very lively and giving off holy might. The golden crow and the flaming phoenix entered the cyclic astral lord's hands, and turned into 2 clumps of extremely dense flames. This gift was too great, so great that Xiaochen did not dare to accept it casually. These 2 clumps of flames were at least 10 times stronger than what Xiaochen had. They could allow him to advance by leaps and bounds in a short period of time. Right. This requires the cyclic astral palace to accumulate for 1,000 years. Unfortunately, you are not strong enough. Otherwise, I could give you more. The cyclic astral lord said very casually, not showing any heartache at all. This person is not simple. This stunned Xiaochen. Compared to the cyclic astral lord, Xiaochen was more willing to spend time with the strange myriad law fiend master. Losing some patience, Xiaochen said seriously, Cyclic astral lord, there is no need to beat around the bush. I am not arrogant enough to think that I can convince you just by breaking one formation. I can feel that while you appear to be very enthusiastic, you are not sincere at all. The cyclic astral lord's smile widened. I find myself admiring you more and more. You are standing at such a height at such a young age. Yet you have not lost your heart at all. Tell me, why do you feel that I am not sincere? Xiaochen replied indifferently. Because I already figured out your heart. Interesting. Earlier, you said that you saw the world that I could see, but you could not figure out my heart. I originally felt disdain for that. Very well, now tell me, what is in my heart? Desire, pride, and ambition. The moment Xiaochen said that, the smile on Zodiac Hall's face slowly vanished, turning cold. His expression turned cold as he looked at Xiaochen. There was a kind of perverted pride in his aloof expression. Did his face change? Perhaps it did not. This was the true face of the cyclic astral lord. Chapter 1339. After the cyclic astral lord lost his smile, the originally harmonious atmosphere between the two vanished without a trace. The atmosphere turned silent and oppressive. For some reason, Xiaochen felt very at ease. He felt relaxed in his heart, and did not regret it at all. Perhaps it was because Xiaochen did not like to wear a mask or disguise when conversing with others. He did not like others wearing a mask to interact with him. That way it would be boring and oppressive. Xiaochen faced his heart. He was such a person. Even though the cyclic astral lord was a prime, Xiaochen was not willing to speak to him while wearing a mask. The cyclic astral lord said indifferently, Xiaochen, not to mention that you have not advanced to martial emperor yet. Even if you did, you would still be a minor character in my eyes. Don't think too highly of yourself. You simply do not understand the world that I see. Xiaochen smiled calmly and said, What is there to not understand? Isn't it just being a prime with no way out? You do not have the courage of the Thunder King, daring to try the path that no one dares to take? The ambition and desire in your heart prevent you from being satisfied with your current accomplishments. Even if it is Zodiac Hall, as long as it can fulfill your ambition, you can easily give up on it. Whoosh! The temperature of the place suddenly plummeted. Xiaochen was clearly not far from the solar true flame, but he felt a chill down his spine, chilling his heart. The cyclic astral lord's expression did not change. However, he did not hide his killing chi well, and it leaked out. Continue, the cyclic astral lord said, enunciating every word with a sullen expression, not showing any emotional fluctuations. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely not dare to continue in such a situation. They feared enraging the cyclic astral lord and getting killed. Xiaochen did not care. He already figured out what kind of person the other party was. In that case, there was nothing to fear. Furthermore, Xiaochen firmly believed that this cyclic astral lord would not dare to make a move on him. There is only one reason why you rejected the deity race. The deity race's conditions do not allow you to leave this abandoned land. The great chaos of the Kunlun realm, the calamity of the demons, and the survival of Zodiac Hall have nothing to do with you. You have long since grown tired of all this. Only I can show you the hope of leaving this abandoned land. Xiaochen organized all the clues that he knew in his mind, meticulously analyzing them. Among the supreme beings he had met before, Big Brother Ingzongtian was also ambitious, and wanted to leave this banished land. However, in the depths of Xiaochen's heart, he was filled with worries. He could not let go of the Haotian sect or his friends and family in the Kunlun realm. Even if he really had the chance to leave the land of exile, he might not be able to bring himself to do so. However, this cyclic astral lord was different. As long as he had the chance, he would be willing to bury the entire Zodiac Hall with him. As long as he could fulfill his wish, he could give up everything. As for the Myriad Law Demon Master, he was indifferent to everything. Everything went according to his heart. If he could do it, then so be it. If he couldn't, then so be it. Xiaochen spoke bluntly, not avoiding any taboo topics. The cyclic astral lord smiled faintly and said, You are really good at guessing. However, you definitely would not have guessed that the Northern Sea Alliance, which you feel the most at ease with, is currently in internal strife. You also would not have guessed that no matter how much effort you put in, with just one word from the lunar palace, all the holy lands would change sides. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly, and the fluctuations in his heart appeared on his face. This made the cyclic astral lord reveal another smile. As long as you say the word, I can help you settle the internal strife of the Northern Sea Alliance, and refine the cycle banner. I can even give you this solar true flame. What word? The cyclic astral lord removed his disguise and took out a scarlet stone. Then he stated his purpose. This is a heavenly heart stone, obtained from the heavenly Tao. All you need to do is swear to bring me out of this banished land within 100 years. An oath stone. Little Three suddenly spoke from the three-life mirror, making Xiao Chen rejoice in his heart. He replied, Little Three, you woke up? Isn't that obvious? Elder Brother White Robes, if I did not wake up, how would Little Three talk to you? Elder Brother White Robes, you have to be careful with this oath stone. If you fail to do so, all the oaths will take effect. Xiao Chen was stunned. Unexpectedly, there was such a strange thing in the world. The cyclic astral lord continued. If you fail, your heart will shatter and you will die. With the other holy lord, he spoke of favors and friendship. However, with this cyclic astral lord, it was a bare transaction. There was no such thing as favors. Or rather, the pride in the cyclic astral lord's heart made him disdainful of talking about favors with people like Xiao Chen. In the Kunlun realm, no matter who it was, the cyclic astral lord did not care about favors. This person before the cyclic astral lord was extremely terrifying. If the cyclic astral lord allowed the cyclic astral lord to charge out of this abandoned land, he would definitely make a move on Xiao Chen. This was equivalent to using the benefits before him to create a strong opponent for himself in the future. Xiao Chen repeatedly weighed the pros and cons in his mind. After a moment of silence, he said, Deal. The cyclic astral lord smiled faintly and said, Even if you can see through my heart, you cannot reject my conditions. No matter how great your accomplishments are in the future, you are destined to benefit me. After saying that, the cyclic astral lord tossed the oath stone to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen held the oath stone in his hand and gave the other party a deep look. This was a gamble. However, at this point, Xiao Chen had to gamble. He was different from the cyclic astral lord. Be it the Haotian sect or the Northern Sea Alliance, they were existences that he could not part with. Even if it was clearly disadvantageous to him, he had to agree to the other party's conditions. Xiao Chen, swear that I will bring the cyclic astral lord away from this abandoned land within 100 years. Otherwise, my heart will shatter and I will die. After Xiao Chen swore the oath, the mysterious stone in his hand melted in his palm and flowed into his body, vanishing. When the cyclic astral lord saw Xiao Chen finish his oath, he revealed a satisfied expression. He said, Stay here for 3 days. Take as much of the solar true flame and the lunar true flame as you can. Xiao Chen asked sullenly, Let me ask you something. Do you know where the Thunder King is? Why the need to ask? Since you already swore, you will walk the path of the Thunder King sooner or later. Just refine the flame here in peace and think about how to deal with the Lunar Palace. I can only help you deal with the Northern Sea Alliance's problem. After leaving that sentence, the cyclic astral lord left. Seeing the other party leave, Little Three immediately leaped out of the immortal spirit ring. Ao Jiao quickly followed behind, staring at the solar true flame in a daze. Xiao Chen knew what Ao Jiao was thinking. He asked, Ao Jiao, can the flame here revive Little Yellow Feather quickly? Ao Jiao shook her head and replied, I'm not sure. The solar divine flame is of a higher grade than the solar true flame. However, the solar true flame here has already reached its peak. Furthermore, it has been here for tens of thousands of years. It is hard to say. In that case, there is no need to worry about it. I'll give it a try for now. Since this cyclic astral lord agreed to give me 3 days, I have to make good use of it. After Xiao Chen spoke, he placed the golden crow egg into the solar true flame. After that, a light flashed in each of Xiao Chen's eyes, and they started spinning quickly. A suction force spread out, and the solar true flame and lunar true flame in the vast flame pool turned into motes of light, continuously entering Xiao Chen's eyes. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged, absorbing and refining as he did so. At the same time, he thought hard about what the cyclic astral lord said. The Northern Sea Alliance had internal strife. Without needing to guess, Xiaoqun was sure that the deity Dao Union was causing trouble. Since the cyclic astral lord agreed to deal with it, there was no need to think about it for now. Right now, Xiaoqun should be thinking about how to deal with the Lunar Palace's problem. He had not expected the Lunar Palace to have such strong influence. The deity Dao Union had been harassing Xiaoqun, preventing him from interacting with the other Holy Lands. They had placed all their trump cards on him. The other party probably thought the same. As long as they placed all their resources on the Lunar Palace and successfully persuaded them, they could turn the situation around in one go. However, how should the Lunar Palace break out of this situation? The Lunar Palace had already said that Bright Moon City did not welcome Xiaoqun, the descendant of the Qing Emperor. Chapter 1340. How to deal with the Lunar Palace's situation. After thinking for a long time, Xiaoqun still could not figure it out. In the Lunar Palace, the only person he could interact with was the Holy Daughter, Yu Bingyun. She held a high position, the next mistress of the Lunar Palace. The crucial point was this next mistress. No matter what her future was like, she could not influence the Lunar Palace's thoughts right now. Whoosh! Just at this moment, a Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram suddenly appeared behind Xiaoqun. The solar true flame and the lunar true flame chased each other, forming a beautiful diagram. Xiaoqun felt excited. How fast! It has only been half a day, and my solar true flame and lunar true flame both rose to rank 6 at the same time. Xiaoqun stopped swallowing, and the flame whirlpools in his eyes stopped spinning. Xiaoqun narrowed his eyes and stretched out his hand. A golden light flickered, and two Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagrams appeared at the same time, one in front and one behind. Buzz! The surrounding 100 meters suddenly froze. Everything, from the insignificant specks of dust, froze. Amid the haziness, Xiaoqun scratched the surface of the state of space. When two new Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagrams appeared at the same time, they could actually freeze the space within 100 meters. Xiaoqun revealed an expression of joy. He temporarily forgot about the Lunar Palace's troubles, and tried to widen the distance between the two Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagrams. With a bang, the space shattered, and wisps of flames flew in all directions. Xiaoqun frowned and said, "It looks like I was too hasty. If I want to increase the range, I have to continue raising the quality of the flames." As Xiaoqun looked at the vast flame pool before him, envy flashed in his eyes. This was the power of accumulations. If Xiaoqun could completely possess it, and use this flame to spread out the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram, its might would be unimaginable. However, this was just a thought. There is no need to feel pity. There are still 2.5 days. It should not be a problem to raise the flames to rank 7. After calming down, Xiaoqun continued to absorb the essence of these flames. 2 days later, where Tianyushi was, Xiaohoju, Yiling, and the others all showed sullen expressions. Among them, Xiahojue was the most outstanding. Just as he was about to succeed in overthrowing the Yi clan, he suddenly stopped. The cyclic astral lord suddenly appeared and forcefully interfered in the internal power struggle of the Northern Sea Alliance, helping the Yi clan stabilize its position as the alliance chief. Furthermore, after learning that Zodiac Hall sided with the Dragon's Gate, the many voices in the Northern Sea Alliance that supported the deity Dao Union immediately fell silent. With the support of the Astral Palace and the Northern Sea Alliance, the deity Dao Union's reputation in the heavenly starry ocean plummeted. Right now, practically no one in the heavenly starry ocean was talking about the deity Dao Union. All they talked about was news about the Dragon's Gate. Damn it! This cyclic astral lord is too overbearing. As a prime, he actually supports Xiaoqun so openly declaring war on our deity Dao Union. Xiaohoju said, feeling aggrieved. Even now, he still remembered the appearance of the cyclic astral lord's clone, and the group's stupefied expressions. Yiling's eyes flickered. Then he glanced at Tianyushi and said, "Indeed, the cyclic astral lord went overboard. If the deity Dao Union did not suppress them, they would lose all their momentum, giving off the impression that they were just putting on a brave front." It would be hard to avoid disheartening those who followed the deity Dao Union. Xiaoju said worriedly. Xiaochen has already convinced 2 primes. Adding in Ning Zongtian and the Fox King, the Dragon's Gate side now has 4 primes. Why do I feel that the Dragon's Gate's momentum is already comparable to our deity Dao Union's? On the surface, the deity Dao Union had 3 primes: Emperor Forsaken, the Heaven-Punishing Corpse God, and the Dongyue Ghost Emperor. Adding in the 3 Holy Masters, the deity Dao Union had 4 primes. The deity Dao Union originally held the absolute advantage. However, after Xiaochen made a move, the situation actually evened out. 2 months ago, Feng Wuji was still filled with confidence. Now his confidence wavered somewhat. Blue Dragon King Xiaochen's elegance terrified him. Tianyu Shi revealed a disdainful smile. Feng Wuji, don't underestimate our deity race. Who told you that our deity race has only 1 prime? Feng Wuji's eyelids twitched. Could it be that the deity race has 2 primes? There are some things that you don't need to know. Just think about it. The Heaven-Punishing Corpse God, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor, and the 3 Holy Masters of your human race are not fools. If they do not see the deity race's true trump card, how could they be willing to submit to the deity race? Tianyu Shi's indifferent words stunned both Xiaoju and Feng Wuji. Could it be that the deity race really has an unknown trump card? To think that the Divine Daughter is so confident. Right now, there is no need to care about the Dragon's Gate's momentum. As long as we can convince the Lunar Palace, all of Xiaochen's efforts will be in vain. Xiaoju interjected. What if they are not convinced? Tianyu Shi said sullenly. Absolutely not. The Lunar Palace has a blood feud with the Qing Emperor. Back then, the Qing Emperor killed the Lunar Palace's palace master and many elders in a fit of rage. No matter how many years pass, no one will forget this. Yi Ling, who had been silent all this while, said, Actually, there is no need to overthink this. Even if the Lunar Palace does not agree, as long as we destroy the Haotian sect, the Dragon's Gate's momentum will scatter. The Holy Lord primes that follow him will naturally make another choice. His alliance is too scattered. Tianyu Shi nodded and said, That's right. However, if that happens, the Kunlun realm will fall into chaos. Once a huge battle broke out, it would affect everything else. The entire Kunlun realm would descend into chaos. If the Haotian sect could be destroyed that easily, the deity Dao Union would not have waited until now to make a move. Holy Lady, Xingju and Xiezixuan are here. The doors to the secret room opened, and the deity race sovereign martial emperor, Qin Xiu, barged in with 2 people. Tianyu Shi showed joy on her face. Xingju and Xiezixuan. One was the Heaven-Punishing Corpse God's personal disciple, and the other was the East Mountain Ghost Monarch's personal disciple. After returning from the celestial battlefield, their strength had increased greatly, and they had even killed the first Heaven Emperor Wu. The 2 of them had been in seclusion for a long time. Finally, the 2 of them had returned. With Xingju and Xiezixuan around, the chances of persuading the other party in the Lunar Palace would be much greater. If the 2 of them could suppress Xiaochen in the Lunar Palace, they would be able to do so. In the heavenly starry ocean, the momentum of the deity Dao Union would instantly catch up to that of the Dragon's Gate. After not seeing each other for some time, the 2's strength had increased significantly. Their auras were even denser. When Xiaoju and Feng Wuji saw this, they were startled at the same time. They actually felt some fear from the 2. They could no longer understand Xingju and Xiezixuan's strength. Strange. Why is Diwuk not out of closed-door cultivation yet? Is he not going to appear on the trip to the Lunar Palace? Xiezixuan said after exchanging glances with Xingju. Perhaps he really will not appear. I cannot guarantee that. Xingju waved his hand and said, It's fine. Alone, the 2 of us might not be able to deal with Xiaochen. However, if the 2 of us work together, we are confident of blocking Xiaochen. When are you preparing to depart? Half a month from now, the Lunar Palace will hold a ceremony to view the divine weapon. At that time, all the major factions will go and watch. We will choose that time to appear. Xiaochen, who was still absorbing the solar true flame and the lunar true flame, did not know that his 2 old rivals had already arrived in the heavenly starry ocean. He also did not know what the Lunar Palace's ceremony to view the divine weapon had to do with him. At this moment, Xiaochen was looking at the flame pool in disappointment, not knowing how to console Ao Jiao. 3 days were about to pass, but the golden crow egg in the solar true flame still showed no signs of activity. The flame was too dense. Xiaochen could not make out the exact situation with his spiritual sense. However, if the golden crow egg had a reaction, there would definitely be some fluctuations. However, from start to end, the surface of the lava formed by the solar true flame did not show any strange movements. Blue Dragon King, 3 days have already passed. Are you still not leaving? Suddenly, the urging of a cyclic astral palace elder came from outside. Xiaochen frowned slightly and had no choice but to take out the golden crow egg. Whoosh! However, the instant the golden crow egg charged out, the expressions of Xiaochen and Ao Jiao changed at the same time in shock. How did this golden crow egg turn golden? Chapter 1341. Although the golden crow egg had the word gold, Xiaochen remembered it very clearly. It had always been the color of white jade, its surface smooth, and its spiritual energy withdrawn. Now, however, it had turned golden, a fiery gold. It was like a burning rock. When placed in Xiaochen's hand, it felt like a clump of fierce fire. He could even feel the heat coming from it. Ao Jiao, what's going on? Xiaochen asked, feeling suspicious. Ao Jiao rubbed her nose and shook her head. I'm not sure. I've never seen or heard of such a situation before. Hehe. Little 3 knows about this. This golden crow mutated. A holy beast's bloodline is pure. Normally, it is very hard for it to mutate. However, once it mutates, there will be an unexpected change. Xiaochen and Ao Jiao looked at Little 3 in surprise. Unexpectedly, this girl knew so much. Little 3 smiled bashfully and said, Don't look at me like that. During the immortal epoch, golden crows were very common. There should still be many of them now. However, they are rather rare in this abandoned land. Xiaochen did not care about this. He continued asking, Is it a good change or a bad change? Naturally, it is good. It is very hard for holy beasts to mutate. During our era, if the golden crow mutated, it would have become the absolute king of the golden crow race. Little 3's tone was very certain, allowing Xiaochen and Ao Jiao to release their bated breaths. Why did it mutate? Xiaochen shifted his gaze to the lunar true flame, which was right next to the solar true flame. Perhaps it had something to do with this vast lunar true flame. This flame pool had received 2 kinds of flames for a long time. Its yin and yang attributes were no longer as pure. However, Xiaochen could not figure out what was going on. The people outside were rushing him, so he could not stay any longer. Come, let's go out. Come, let's go out. Little 3 and Ao Jiao quickly flashed, returning to the immortal spirit ring. Xiaochen returned the way he came. The moment he appeared in the Sun Palace, he saw the cyclic astral lord, who had been waiting for a long time. The cyclic astral lord still looked very spirited and full of boundless charm. However, after seeing through this person's heart, he no longer gave Xiaochen the feeling of being subdued. Your complexion is not bad. Looks like you've gained quite a lot. Here you go. The cycle banner slowly appeared in the cyclic astral lord's palm. Then he tossed the banner back to Xiaochen. Xiaochen took it. The flagpole had turned golden and was engraved with densely packed stars, sun and moon. If it was spread out, it would look like a resplendent starry sky. The color of the flag was even more blood red than before. The red flag was like blood, and it looked like it was about to overflow. It was filled with killing intent. When Xiaochen looked carefully, the cyclic astral lord had indeed kept his promise, helping him merge the 6th pain throne into it. This war banner of yours is truly extraordinary. You've wasted so many divine materials for nothing. What a pity. I used the refining methods of the cyclic astral palace to refine it for you. I did not add any divine materials, but it directly raised its quality by 1 level. The cyclic astral lord spoke casually, as if he was talking about something insignificant. As Xiaochen held the cycle banner, he felt startled in his heart. No matter how hypocritical or ambitious this person was, he would not be able to defeat him. No matter how hypocritical or ambitious this person was, he was indeed very talented, worthy of admiration. In the future, when he left this abandoned land, he would definitely be a major character. I already helped you settle the matter of the Northern Sea Alliance. I can't help you with the Lunar Palace's side, so you can do as you see fit. I know you are not willing to go to the Lunar Palace. However, you already swore an oath. It is no longer up to you. Whether you are willing or not, you have to take down the Lunar Palace. Right now the two were on the same boat. Although they each had their own thoughts, they had the same goal for now. The cyclic astral lord was even more unwilling than Xiao Chen to see the Lunar Palace side with the deity Dao Union. Xiao Chen ignored the cyclic astral lord's words, which sounded like an order. He said calmly, "Many thanks. You do not have to worry about the Lunar Palace's matters. I will do my best. There is no need to put pressure on me." It is not that I want to put pressure on you. The Lunar Palace's new transcendent divine weapon has already been refined. Half a month later, they will hold the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. At that time, Tianyushi will personally pay a visit. Half a month is the last time you have. Do as you see fit. After the cyclic astral lord said this, he started to send off the guest, showing no intention of exchanging pleasantries. Xiao Chen could not be bothered to linger. He felt very uncomfortable when he was with this person. He did not like such a situation at all. After leaving the Zodiac Hall, Xiao Chen landed on the surface of the sea. For a moment he did not know where to go. Go to the Lunar Palace? There was no need to think about it. If he went rashly, he would definitely be chased back in disgrace. Bright Moon City would not welcome him at all. Go to the Northern Sea Alliance. They no longer needed him there. With the cyclic astral lord making a move, he would naturally resolve the problem there. Xiao Chen, where are we going now? Let's go back. After all, there are some things that cannot be forced. For problems that I cannot figure out, there is no solution no matter how I think about it. I'll just let nature take its course. Helpless against the Lunar Palace, Xiao Chen shook his head. Then he decided to return to Heavenly Star Island and calm down. In the past few days, Xiao Chen had been rushing all over the place, not stopping for even a moment. He had fought several huge battles that left him shaken to the core, nearly triggering the great tribulation of wind and fire in advance. After making up his mind, Xiao Chen returned to Heavenly Star Island 3 days later. However, he had not returned for 2 months. When he returned, he discovered that Heaven Dragon City was already several times more bustling than before. Xiao Chen could vaguely feel a great aura in the sky above Heavenly Star Island, gathering wind and clouds in all directions, attracting everyone's attention. As for the Western Sea Divine Dragon Palace, it looked lifeless. Under the suppression of the Dragon's Gate, it had fallen to a second-rate faction, its luck plummeting. The news of Xiao Chen's return to Heavenly Star Island startled only a few people. Mo Chen immediately rushed over to the mountain where Xiao Chen was in closed-door cultivation. Right now, Mo Chen was already the female city lord in name. The city lord token of Heaven Dragon City was in her hands. She was the one who dealt with the various factions, the planning of the Dragon's Gate, and the various branches of the Dragon's Gate. Xiao Chen was only in name. He spent most of his time cultivating. Big brother Xiao Chen, this is for you. After Mo Chen arrived, she tossed a jade strip to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen received it and took a look. Then he asked, "What is this?" Mo Chen smiled and explained, "This is a gathering token. When you do things, you always have a backup plan. You managed to convince those primes and the Holy Lord, but you did not leave behind any means to inform them. Let me ask you, if the Haotian sect is in danger now, how are you going to inform them?" "Of course, I will send someone to inform them through the transportation formation." The moment Xiao Chen said that, he realized the problem. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "That's too slow. I really did not think of that." Mo Chen smiled and said, "That's why I prepared the gathering token for you. The moment you left, I got someone to deliver this gathering token to the Great Holy Lord. Once something unexpected happens, just shatter this jade strip, and the other Holy Lord will receive the news." Xiao Chen put away the jade strip solemnly and said, "Thank you." It's fine. This is all I can do to help you. I can't do anything else. When Chen heard Xiao Chen's thanks, she revealed a satisfied expression. She continued, "Oh right, are you still preparing to go out?" Xiao Chen sighed and said, "I do want to go out. However, never mind. I have no idea what to do with the Lunar Palace. Their palace master personally said that they will not welcome me, blocking my way. I can't even enter Bright Moon City." At the mention of this, Xiao Chen showed a helpless expression. If the Lunar Palace steeled itself to reject a person, no one could force their way in. Even if this person was a sovereign martial emperor, it would not work. Furthermore, Xiao Chen was not one yet. You want to participate in the Lunar Palace's divine weapon unveiling ceremony, right? Chen asked softly as a light flashed in her bright eyes. Xiao Chen nodded. At the same time, he repeated the cyclic astral lord's words. Once the Lunar Palace sided with the deity Dao Union, all of Xiao Chen's previous efforts would go to waste. I can't help you convince the Lunar Palace. However, getting you to enter Bright Moon City is not a problem. After Chen heard what Xiao Chen said, she smiled faintly. Then, like she was performing a magic trick, a jade fan made of moonlight appeared in her hand. Then she slowly opened the fan. The melodious sound of the zither and the elegant voice of a song floated out from the fan. Xiao Chen's expression changed. He said, "This is the Lunar Palace's bright jade fan. As long as one has this fan, they can even meet the Lunar Palace's palace master. Where did you get it?" This was truly a turning point, a glimmer of hope. Xiao Chen, who was about to give up, suddenly saw a path before him. Chen smiled mischievously. "Guess." Chapter 1342. Xiao Chen thought for a while. Then he revealed a smile. "I guess it has something to do with that transcendent divine weapon." For Chen to establish a connection with the Lunar Palace, and even get the Lunar Palace to give her a bright jade fan, someone from the Lunar Palace must have asked her to help refine the transcendent divine weapon. Chen had the Book of Heavenly Works. Her refining skills were already extraordinary. Aside from this, Xiao Chen could not think of any other reason. Chen smiled faintly and said, "You are not stupid. I did not refine that transcendent divine weapon. I only assisted from the side, using the Book of Heavenly Works to help control the temperature of the flame, and let the swordsmith focus on forging." Xiao Chen understood that while Chen spoke humbly, she had definitely helped a lot. Otherwise, she would not have given him a bright jade fan. With the bright jade fan, he could get the Lunar Palace to help him with something, which would be like owing her a favor. Of course, this referred to an ordinary matter. Getting the Lunar Palace to side with the Dragon's Gate was impossible with just the bright jade fan. Back then, the Holy Daughter Yu Bingyan personally came to look for me. At first, I hesitated and did not agree. However, she seemed to have anticipated today's situation and repeatedly begged me to help, to obtain this bright jade fan and hand it to you. Chen spoke tirelessly, telling the truth. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Did Yu Bingyan really manage to reach this step? Probably not. Xiao Chen did not believe that anyone could be that incredible. She just wanted to give me a chance to go to the Lunar Palace. Regardless of whether that was the case or not, this jade fan was indeed of great help to me now. Xiao Chen put away the jade fan and paced around the room, thinking about how to face the Lunar Palace's people. He was somewhat confident of dealing with the other Holy Lands. However, this was the only Holy Land that he was in danger. Big brother Xiao Chen, actually there is no need to be anxious. When Chen saw the worry on Xiao Chen's face, she consoled him. Actually, the one who should be anxious is not you but the deity Dao Union's group. Big brother Xiao Chen, you already convinced the various Holy Lands. However, they only managed to convince the divine dragon palaces of the four seas. Right now, you hold the complete advantage in the heavenly starry ocean. Why put so much pressure on yourself? Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. When he heard Chen's words, he immediately felt enlightened, feeling refreshed. When Chen saw Xiao Chen's frown relax, she continued, "Sometimes, when you look at a problem from a different angle, you will discover that the situation can change immediately. Right now you should not think of yourself as the weak party. Right now, your momentum is flourishing in the heavenly starry ocean, and your reputation is great." The weak party is the deity Dao Union. If they cannot convince the lunar palace, they will lose everything in the heavenly starry ocean. It will be even more difficult for them to destroy the Haotian sect, and they will have to pay an even greater price. You have already disrupted their plans. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up. He nodded and said, "That's right." Emo-chan, continue. After receiving encouragement, she continued analyzing. As long as the lunar palace remains neutral, Big Brother Xiao Chen, you have already succeeded. As for the deity Dao Union, they need to take down the lunar palace. Otherwise, all their plans in the heavenly starry ocean will fail. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "That's right. Why must the lunar palace side with the Dragon's Gate? They just need to remain neutral." With Emo Chen's explanation, Xiao Chen's train of thought immediately cleared. The most important thing was that his mental state completely changed. "Many thanks. If not for what you said, even if I could enter Bright Moon City, it would not be of much use. Instead, it might even have the opposite effect," Xiao Chen said sincerely after calming down. It was just like how the deity Dao Union sent someone to assassinate Xiao Chen, which ended up helping him. If Xiao Chen went to the lunar palace and did not control his mental state, he might end up helping the deity Dao Union. With this thought, Xiao Chen felt a chill run down his spine. He had nearly made a huge mistake. "Oh right, I still have not asked you. What exactly is that transcendent divine weapon?" Xiao Chen asked out of curiosity. The lunar palace wanted to forge a new transcendent divine weapon. Xiao Chen knew about this. Back then, Yu Bingyan had told him about it. The startling Phoenix Zither was ranked 10th on the divine weapon ranking. It was too dangerous and could be pushed down at any moment. The lunar palace needed to forge a new transcendent divine weapon. It is a set of sabers and swords, one saber and one sword. Although they are two divine weapons, the two can merge into one. Furthermore, they come from the same source, so they can be considered one transcendent divine weapon. Xiao Chen understood this. A set of weapons could be seen as one. The 7 deadly sins in his hand were the same. Emo-chan continued. One is the Wind Shadow Sword, and the other is the Cloud Moon Saber. The two are extremely horrifying. The shadow of the wind and the moon of the clouds. Wind and clouds merge, and the shadow of the moon is missing. This transcendent divine weapon involves 5 states. Furthermore, it needs to be combined with the 2 profound martial techniques of the lunar palace. Its might is extremely horrifying. Now, it ranks first on the divine weapon ranking. Xiao Chen asked casually, "What if it cannot be combined?" Emo-chan said, "Since it is a set and cannot be combined, its might will naturally be greatly reduced. It might even be weaker than an ordinary divine weapon." However, 3 days later, a piece of unexpected news spread throughout the entire heavenly starry ocean like a strong gust of wind. Despite Xiao Chen's casual question, the lunar palace sent out news that anyone who could draw the Cloud Moon Saber during the divine weapon unveiling ceremony would be able to enter the lunar palace and marry the holy daughter. The moment this news spread, all the men in the heavenly starry ocean went crazy. In the lunar palace, most female disciples could marry, but the holy daughter could not. After becoming the lunar palace's holy daughter, while enjoying the attention of the world and being aloof, she still had to abandon her emotions and endure indescribable loneliness. After becoming the lunar palace's holy daughter, while enjoying the attention of the world and being aloof, she still had to abandon her emotions and endure indescribable loneliness. As for the holy daughter, that was something that could only be thought of in their hearts. Unexpectedly, as long as one drew a saber, one could marry the holy daughter. As for the holy daughter, that was something that could only be thought of in their hearts. Unexpectedly, as long as one drew a saber, one could marry the holy daughter. This news was like a bomb going off in the deep sea, spreading very quickly. It instantly overshadowed the matter of Xiao Chen convincing the various holy lands. When Xiao Chen first arrived in the heavenly starry ocean, he had seen the holy daughter's prestige in the heavenly starry ocean. Not only did she enjoy a good reputation in the world of cultivators, she enjoyed an even more venerated position among ordinary people. Among ordinary mortals, her status was even more revered. She was like a fairy in the mortal world. He didn't even dare to think about marrying such a woman as his wife. When Xiao Chun and Emo Chen heard this news, they were both stunned. Indeed, no one would have thought of such an unexpected thing beforehand. Emo Chen looked at Xiao Chun and asked, "Tell me, did you know about this long ago? Otherwise, why did you ask me what would happen if the two could not be combined?" Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and said, "It was really just a casual question. If not for you, I would not even know what a transcendent divine weapon is." Emo Chen smiled and said, "I was just saying it casually. There is no need to be so nervous. It looks like there is no one in the Lunar Palace who can make the Cloud Moon Saber recognize a master." A divine weapon recognizing a master was a very strange thing. Some divine weapons could easily recognize a master, as long as one was strong enough. However, some divine weapons, such as the 7 deadly sins in Xiao Chen's hand, required the cultivator to be compatible with the divine weapon. Otherwise, the divine weapon would never recognize a master, no matter how strong it was. Is there a need to sacrifice a holy daughter for a divine weapon? Xiao Chen could not understand this. As he looked at the bright jade fan in his hand, he vaguely thought of something. Emo Chen said, "You don't understand. Right now, this saber and sword are at the top of the divine weapon ranking. The Lunar Palace poured 10,000 years of accumulations into this. They are specially forged to deal with a great calamity. It is impossible for them to give up, so they can only resort to this method. Furthermore, my guess is that the Lunar Palace definitely has countermeasures to control the person who can make the divine weapon recognize a master." However, Xiao Chen did not hear what Emo Chen said. He stared at the bright jade fan in a daze. Did Yu Bingyan expect this to happen? Yu Bingyan guessed long ago that no one in the Lunar Palace could make the Cloud Moon Saber recognize a master. Even after Yu Bingyan tried to dissuade them, the Lunar Palace still insisted on forging this set of divine weapons. Hence, the Lunar Palace gave Emo Chen the bright jade fan to hand to him. Could this be his opportunity for the divine weapon unveiling ceremony? After the twists and turns, what Xiao Chen saw was not the light at the end of the tunnel that he wanted. Instead, there were new waves and new problems. Chapter 1343. As Xiao Chen looked at the bright jade fan, his emotions fluctuated. For a moment, he forgot that Emo Chen was talking to him. "Big brother Xiao Chen. Big brother Xiao Chen." Only after Emo Chen called out twice did Xiao Chen react. He said, Sorry. I was thinking about something else." Emo Chen smiled faintly and said, "Actually, I already guessed it. Why would Yu Bingyan come to Heavenly Star Island to beg me for no reason? She must have some sort of relationship with big brother Xiao Chen." Xiao Chen sighed softly and said calmly, "It can't be considered a relationship. I just experienced some life and death situations with her, and went on adventures together. Suddenly, when I heard that she was going to marry, my emotions fluctuated somewhat." "What's wrong? Does big brother Xiao Chen like her?" Emo Chen asked seriously as she blinked and looked at Xiao Chen. This question stumped Xiao Chen. Did he like Yu Bingyan? The answer was obvious. As the holy daughter, Yu Bingyan was pretty and refined. Her character was elegant and magnanimous. No man would not have a good impression of such a girl. Naturally, Xiao Chen was no exception. However, he did not know how much of a good impression Yu Bingyan had. Furthermore, right now he was like duckweed, about to sink at any moment. He did not dare to talk about love. Xiao Chen was certain that there was only one lover in his heart, Qingyan Peak's Lu Ruyue. No matter how many years had passed and how much they had experienced, Xiao Chen buried this feeling in his heart, and would never forget it. As for the others, Xiao Chen did not think too much about them. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen replied, "Regardless of whether she likes you or not, since she asked you to give the bright jade fan to me, then she definitely does not like to marry. It would have been fine if I did not know. Now that I know, I have to help her this time." Humph. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, Ao Jiao snorted heavily from the immortal spirit ring, appearing extremely dissatisfied. Since he wanted to help, then Xiao Chen would definitely draw his saber. As the lunar shadow saber's item spirit, Ao Jiao immediately felt jealous. When Little Three heard that, she laughed endlessly at the side, scolding Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao was angry and ignored her. Xiao Chen could not explain it to her for now, so he could only let her be. He said to Emo-chun, "Make some preparations. When the time comes, you will come with me to Bright Moon City." "I'll go with you?" Xiao-chun nodded. "Yes. This lunar palace is very important to me as well. Stay by my side and remind me when necessary so that I won't do anything stupid." When Emo-chun heard this, she smiled and said, "Sure. I also want to see how crazy the scene will be." When the group in the pavilion where Tianyushi was learned that Yu Bingyun was going to marry the person who drew the cloud moon saber, they were greatly startled. They didn't expect such a thing to happen before they left. The thinking of the lunar palace is really unfathomable. If the person who drew the saber was old and ugly, then wouldn't the holy daughter Yu Bingyun be in trouble? Xingju shook his head, indicating that he did not understand. Xie Zishuan smiled gently and said, "Isn't that simple? Just go and draw that cloud moon saber, and everything will be fine." "Ha ha ha ha. I will definitely give it a try. Marrying the holy daughter is indeed very tempting." Xingju replied indifferently. Tianyushi frowned slightly and said, "This commotion is very sudden. I really don't know if it is good or bad for us." Xiao Hoju analyzed. "No matter who draws the cloud moon saber, as long as it is not Xiao Chun, it is a good thing for us." Feng Wuji added, "Don't worry. Xiao Chun cannot even enter Bright Moon City. How can he draw the saber? The best situation is that one of us can draw the cloud moon saber. In that case, the lunar palace will definitely side with the deity Dao Union. Xiao Chun will have no chance at all." Tianyushi looked around and glanced at the people present. He felt that this was very possible. Be it Xiao Hoju or Feng Wuji, they were both outstanding talents who returned from experiential training in the astral battlefield. They were stronger than the many outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean. As for Xingju and Xie Zishuan, there was no need to even mention them. They were descendants of primes. Now their strength was unfathomable. They could even kill a regular Emperor Wu. They were much stronger than the outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean. If Xiao Chun did not make a move, no one would be able to suppress them. "Very well, it is decided then. I will send people to figure it out as soon as possible. As for the cloud moon saber, the few of you should make preparations. I will definitely reward whoever can draw the cloud moon saber." Tianyushi said seriously. Xingju and the others exchanged glances and did not object. A look flashed in their eyes, mostly of eagerness. Who would not be tempted by a woman like the holy daughter? As Xiao Chun, Tianyushi, and the others made their preparations, all the outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean went crazy. The news spread very quickly. The many cultivators of the Black Sea, the Storm Sea, and the Ice Sea also received the news in the shortest time possible. Immediately, the news of the lunar palace's holy daughter getting married spread throughout the entire oceanic world, becoming the hottest topic. The number of people heading to Bright Moon City was several times more than usual. There was a huge crowd, all wanting to test their skills at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. In the sky, at the palace hovering in the sky like a bright moon, Yu Bingyun had a melancholic expression on her face as she stared out the window in a daze. As the lunar palace's holy daughter, Yu Bingyun had never hoped to have a true relationship. For many years, her heart had never changed, never having any ripples. She had only met that person, and her heart slowly changed. There had never been a person who gave her such an intense feeling, stirring her heart and making her worry. However, Yu Bingyun still retained her rationality. Similarly, she did not have any extravagant hopes for any results. She placed that feeling in the depths of her heart. She did not think about it. However, she simply could not accept the current situation. Even if she could not marry for the rest of her life, it would be countless times better than marrying someone she did not like. Would he dare to come? Would he guess why I gave him the bright jade fan? Yu Bingyun's heart was in a mess. No matter what she did, she could not calm down. Her thoughts were a mess, unable to sort them out. "Bingyun, what are you thinking about?" The lunar palace's palace master silently entered the elegant room. Startled, she quickly turned around and bowed. "Master, Bingyun is fine." The lunar palace's palace master shook her head and said, "Your worries are written all over your face. How can you be fine? Don't blame Master. Great chaos is approaching. The demonic great calamity will arrive soon. If the lunar palace wants to seek safety under the pressure of the deity Dao Union, it needs the existence of this saber and sword. There will be an even more horrifying demonic great calamity. We will need the wind shadow sword and the cloud moon saber even more. The lunar palace has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. We absolutely cannot let it fall here. Yu Bingyan said softly, I know. Bingyan will do whatever Master says. The lunar palace's palace master smiled warmly and said, There's no need to overthink. The person who can draw the cloud moon saber is absolutely worthy of you. Given the pride of the cloud moon saber, it will not choose an ugly person. If that person dares to bully you, Master will definitely not spare him. Yu Bingyan smiled bitterly in her heart. If the person was not the one she loved, no matter how outstanding he was, it was useless. However, Yu Bingyan did not show it on her face. She just nodded slightly to indicate that she understood. The lunar palace's palace master gave Yu Bingyan a deep look. Yu Bingyan was like a daughter to her. The lunar palace's palace master watched her grow up and poured all her heart and soul into her. However, this time, the lunar palace's palace master had no choice. To think that no one in the vast lunar palace could draw the cloud moon saber. This situation was unexpected. For the sake of forging this saber and sword, the lunar palace had exhausted far more resources than the outside world expected. If this saber and sword became mere decorations, then the lunar palace would suffer severe injuries to its essence for many years, finding it hard to recover. The more important thing was still to come. The deity Dao Union already put a lot of pressure on the lunar palace. The lunar palace did not want to lean towards any faction. The lunar palace needed to have its own trump card, so that the deity Dao Union would not dare to use force on the lunar palace. However, the matters of the world were hard to predict. The commotion caused by the divine weapon unveiling ceremony far surpassed her expectations. Chapter 1344. Time passed day by day. Soon, half a month was about to arrive. During this time, Xiaochen held the bright jade fan and pondered for a long time. The jade fan opened up, and a brilliant light shone out. A melodious song echoed in the surroundings, lingering for a long time. The elegant singing sounded like Yu Bingyan was talking to him. The scenes of their time together flashed in his mind. This girl's graceful bearing continuously appeared in Xiaochen's mind. He could feel the misery and sorrow in her heart. She was begging him to help her once and not let this happen. However, Xiaochen wanted to go to the lunar palace to obtain the lunar palace's help. Xiaochen told Xiaochen not to side with the deity Dao Union. If Xiaochen caused trouble at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony, it would backfire, giving Tian Yuxi and the others a chance. This was also the reason why Xiaochen wanted to bring Emochen along. He was afraid that he would act rashly. Big brother Xiaochen were leaving. Emochen pushed the door open and entered. Half a month had already passed. If they did not leave now, it would be too late. Emochen had urged Xiaochen to leave several times, but Xiaochen said there was no rush. But now he had no choice but to leave, or else he would be late. Xiaochen closed the jade fan and remained silent for a while before saying, "Let's go." 3 days later, the majestic bright moon city appeared in Xiaochen's vision like a bright moon. Cultivators heading to the lunar palace filled the sky, the sea, and the surroundings. There was no need to guess. These were all people participating in the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. They all wanted to try their luck to see if they could draw the cloud moon saber. Xiaochen and Emochen both wore round hats on their heads. There was white gauze around the brim of their hats, covering half their faces. Their appearances could not be seen clearly. It seems like there are quite a few acquaintances. Xiaochen looked around and revealed a faint smile. He saw Yichen, whom he had not seen for a long time. This fellow flew toward the city gate alone, and many people recognized him as the Northern Sea Alliance's young alliance leader. But today, he definitely wouldn't stand out too much and wouldn't attract too much discussion. There were too many outstanding talents in Bright Moon City. When Xiaochen casually looked around, he even saw Di Xinhan, and the Heavenly Province Academy's holy son. Now was not the time to greet him. He could not reveal his identity yet. At this moment, Chen pointed and said, "Look, that looks like Goddess Tianyushi?" Chen looked in the direction Chen pointed. He saw a golden warship flying in the sky. Instead of walking through the city gates, he leaped into the city. At the bow of the ship, a white-haired lady stood gracefully. Chen looked somewhat familiar. However, based on this silhouette, he was certain that this person was the divine daughter, Tianyoshi. Who are the two beside them? Why do they look so familiar? Chen noticed that there was a person on each side of Tianyushi. These two people looked familiar, but Chen could not place them. Their auras were extremely grave. Since when did these two people appear beside Tianyushi? In an instant, Chen felt fear in his heart. This time many unexpected things might happen at the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. The matter of the Lunar Palace's holy daughter marrying someone of a lower status surpassed many people's expectations. Before everyone's envious gazes, the deity race's warship flew over Bright Moon City unobstructed. It did not enter through the crowded city gates. Instead, it slowly vanished from Chen's sight. Dong, dong, dong. Just at this moment, the sound of galloping horses came from the sea, accompanied by the howling of a cold wind. The temperature in the air plummeted. The cold suddenly assaulted everyone, making them feel cold for some reason. Chen turned his head to take a look. He saw a handsome man with a frosty face and white sideburns riding on an icy horse. He rode on the icy horse, causing snowflakes to drift down. It's young Master Bishui, the Ice Sea's young master. Unexpectedly, he came as well. His father, the Ice Sovereign, is unrivaled in his comprehension of the will of ice. He rules the entire Ice Sea and is no weaker than any of the immortal Holy Lands. The Holy Daughter's charm is truly unstoppable. The Ice Sea was not very large. Because it snowed all year round, most of its surface was sealed in ice. Chen had heard of the Ice Sovereign before, but had never interacted with him. Furthermore, this place was very far from the heavenly starry ocean. Previously, Chen had not put much thought into going to the Ice Sea. After carefully sizing up this handsome man, Chen nodded to himself. This person is pretty strong and has many unique aspects. Just his cultivation alone is already a consummation blue-robed emperor. He can undergo his great tribulation of wind and fire at any time, and advance to martial emperor. However, it is clear that this person is rather cautious. The other party has probably been stuck at this consummation blue-robed emperor stage for 20 years already. Young Master Bishui, unexpectedly, you are interested in this holy daughter as well. However, I fell in love with the holy daughter at first sight in the storm sea. I think you had better not come. The sound of an intense storm resounded. Then a young man riding the wind appeared behind young Master Bishui. He had delicate features and could be considered handsome. However, compared to young Master Bishui's frosty expression and icy aura, this person's face was as wild and unruly as a strong wind. His clear eyes flickered with a wild and frenzied expression. Shifeng. That madman is here as well. Is it the Storm Sea's young master? This fellow is young Master Bishui's old rival. His style of doing things is extremely crazy. Young Master Bishui looked back and smiled coldly. Fool, Miss, you used all the storm stones she borrowed from your Storm Sea on the Wind Shadow Sword. The ice eyes used in the Cloud Moon Saber were all obtained from my Ice Sea. Who do you think can draw the Cloud Moon Saber? Shifeng smiled and said, Haha. In that case, just wait and see. Miss Bingyun told me some of the secrets of the Cloud Moon Saber. Just wait and see. Chen's heart skipped a beat. However, he did not hear what Shifeng said as he carefully pondered young Master Bishui's words. Could it be that Yu Bingyun really had dealings with this Shifeng and young Master Bishui before? With this thought, Chen could not help feeling somewhat uncomfortable. He felt strangely frustrated for some reason, but he did not know why. Whoosh. Not long after the two of them left, they heard an urgent whistling sound in the surroundings. This sound contained a saber intent with an unparalleled sharpness. When Chen looked up, he saw someone flying over in the sky. He was like a powerful treasure saber tearing through the sky and splitting the cloud sea in half. When Chen saw this person, he could not help exclaiming hoarsely, When Xiren! When Xiren, the personal disciple of the saber sovereign Wu Xiaotian, had not seen him for many years. Unexpectedly, the sharpness and saber intent of this person had already become so terrifyingly strong. When Xiren charged straight ahead, disappearing in a flash and entering Bright Moon City, moving as fast as lightning. However, the saber intent that he left behind lingered for a long time, spreading out in the world. Buzz. The sharp saber intent appeared in the world again. Then 9 figures appeared in the distance. These 9 people carried a rugged saber intent as they tore through the clouds, looking like a sharp saber flying over. The auras of these 9 people were all different. Some were surging flames, some were drifting snow, some were howling storms, some were flashing lightning, and so on and so forth. The only thing they had in common was that all of them had an extremely strong saber intent. With one glance, one would tremble in fear. There are so many saber sovereign descendants. Aside from the true saber sovereign's descendant, when Xiren, the personal disciples of the Inferno Saber Sovereign, the Ice Saber Sovereign, and the Thunder Saber Sovereign are all rushing over. It looks like the rumors are true. I heard long ago that the Lunar Palace's Palace Master personally sent out invitations to the many Saber Sovereigns. Now they are all here. It's over. We are probably done for. With so many experts of the Saber Dao and outstanding talents, one of them will definitely draw the Lunar Shadow Saber and marry the Holy Daughter. Many discussions rang out without end. Everyone's tone was filled with disappointment. Originally, they still had some hope that they could take advantage of this. Now, it looked like that was just wishful thinking. This seems to be somewhat difficult. Under the hat, Xiao Chun frowned heavily. Then he took out the bright jade fan and took a look. His frown slowly relaxed. No matter what, since Yu Bingyun made this request, he would help out. He would draw the Cloud Moon Saber and destroy this ceremony. Chapter 1345. Withdrawing his gaze, Xiao Chun soared into the air with Mo Chun, heading for Bright Moon City. Instantly, the surrounding cultivators focused their attention on the two. They revealed suspicious expressions. Who is this person? Why does he dare to fly into Bright Moon City like those holy scions? Could he be from another place and not know the rules? That's impossible. No matter how ignorant he is, he would not dare to barge into the Lunar Palace. He must be an outstanding talent of a holy land or someone who received an invitation from the Lunar Palace. Just watch. If he is not a holy scion, someone will definitely stop him. Just as Xiao Chun and Mo Chun approached the city, 2 beautiful female disciples flew over from the air. They said softly, "This is Bright Moon City. If you have not received an invitation, please enter through the city gates." Without saying anything, Xiao Chun took out the bright jade fan and opened it. Immediately, the bright jade fan gave off a bright light, and a melodious song came from it, echoing in the surroundings. The song lingered and drifted about, kicking up tiny waves on the surface of the sea like it was dancing. The bright jade fan. Shocked exclamations rang out in the surroundings. Unexpectedly, this unremarkable person directly took out a bright jade fan. This is really strange. In the past 1,000 years, the Lunar Palace has only sent out 10 of these bright jade fans. It looks like this divine weapon unveiling ceremony is going to be an eventful one. The bright jade fan has not appeared for more than 100 years already. Those who could wield the bright jade fan definitely had extraordinary backgrounds. It was hard not to be shocked. Whoosh! Xiao Chun closed the bright jade fan and showed it to the female disciple blocking the way. After he saw it clearly, he no longer blocked the way. He bowed respectfully and said, "So it is an esteemed guest. Sorry for the offense earlier. Might I ask if the 2 of you are here to participate in the divine weapon unveiling ceremony as well?" Xiao Chun nodded and said, "Just to watch the excitement." "Please come with me." The 2 female Lunar Palace disciples did not leave immediately. Instead, they specially led the way for Xiao Chun, appearing very meticulous. With the bright jade fan, one could even meet the Lunar Palace's Palace Master. One could even casually make a request that was within the normal range. Naturally, the Lunar Palace disciples did not dare to show any neglect, lest they forget etiquette. "My name is Ming Qiu, and this is my junior sister Hong Yan," Since you have the bright jade fan, you can directly bring the two of them to the VIP seats. The delicate-looking woman on the left-hand side spoke. Her voice was like spring water, irregular and graceful. Xiaochen shook his head and said, "Just lead the way, we don't need to go to the VIP seats." So. The four of them flew through the air at lightning speed, passing by many pavilions and streets. Many cultivators who were walking on the ground were envious of them. The privilege of flying in the skies of Bright Moon City wasn't something just anyone could enjoy. Under normal circumstances, even Emperor Wu wouldn't dare to do so. An hour later, the four of them arrived at the largest Bright Moon Square in the city. The plaza was filled with the figures of cultivators. Amid the hubbub of voices, there was almost no gap between them. "Since the two of you don't want to sit in the VIP seats, Hongyan, help them get 2 seats," the delicate female disciple instructed softly. Xiaochen said politely, "Many thanks. In that case, we won't disturb the two of you any further." The figures of the 2 female disciples fluttered, disappearing from the two's sight. After the 2 left, Xiaochen pulled Mo Chun and quickly retreated, blending into the crowd. There were all sorts of cultivators in the plaza. Who knew how many of them there were? The two's attire was nothing special. Trying to find them among the crowd would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xiaochen had no choice but to be cautious. If someone discovered his identity in advance, he would definitely be chased out. If that happened, all his previous efforts would be for naught. The many invited outstanding talents and the disciples of the various saber sovereigns were all seated in the VIP seats on the tall platform in front. All of them had dignified appearances as they chatted cheerfully. As they spoke, they revealed strong self-confidence, attracting much attention. Among them, Tianyu Shi and the others were the most eye-catching. The various holy scions frequently glanced at them. Some of the saber sovereigns' descendants also showed fear in their gazes, withdrawing the arrogance in their eyes. Xiaochen, who was below the platform, saw everything clearly this time. An expression of understanding appeared in his eyes. It turned out that the 2 people beside Tianyu Shi were the personal disciples of the heaven-punishing corpse god and the Dongyue ghost emperor. No wonder they looked so familiar. After not seeing them for several years, these two's strength had indeed increased significantly. Even the first heaven martial emperor would not be a match for them. Xiaochen briefly explained the situation of these 2 to Mo Chun. She frowned and said, "This is going to be somewhat troublesome." Unexpectedly, so many people came to the divine weapon unveiling ceremony. This is especially so for the descendants of those saber sovereigns. If anyone can seize the opportunity to make a move, they might be able to draw the cloud moon saber. Xiaochen said softly, "I wonder, how will the lunar palace arrange this sequence?" Just as the 2 were pondering, a faint yellow light descended from the ethereal palace that looked like a bright moon. It was pure and gorgeous, even more beautiful than moonlight. As the light descended, the lunar palace's 3 female elders, the holy daughter Yu Bingyun, and the lunar palace's vice palace master arrived. When the group landed, the atmosphere instantly reached a climax. Countless fervent gazes stared at Mooncake Cloud. Their fervent gazes contained an additional trace of desire than usual. Mooncake Cloud carried a sword on her back. Her spirited eyes swept across the platform. At the same time, she sent out her perception but did not discover the person she was waiting for. An indiscernible disappointment and grief flashed in her eyes. Then she bowed slightly and slowly moved to the side. When Xiaochen saw this scene, he felt slightly startled. However, he still resisted the urge to jump out. The 4 Lunar Palace disciples took out a treasure saber and slowly stabbed it into the platform. Whoosh! Immediately, everyone shifted their gazes from Mooncake Cloud to that treasure saber. Without a doubt, this was the Cloud Moon Saber. As long as one could draw it, one could marry the Holy Daughter, completing the dream of everyone. Since everyone is here, I believe you all know that something unexpected happened at the Divine Weapon Unveiling Ceremony. As long as anyone can draw the Cloud Moon Saber, and is willing to marry into my Lunar Palace, they can marry the Holy Daughter. The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master spoke the words that everyone anticipated. So it is true. As long as one can draw that saber, One can marry the holy daughter. What exactly are the origins of this saber? To think that the lunar palace is willing to spend so much on it. Amid the discussions, the divine daughter Tianyushi asked, "Might I ask, Senior, with this saber placed here, who will be the first to draw it?" The first to draw the saber would definitely hold the advantage. If one managed to draw it in one go, the people behind would regret it. However, with so many people here, no matter who drew the saber first, the others would be convinced. It would be hard to avoid disputes. Yu Bingyun glanced at Tianyushi and smiled faintly. The person who draws the saber does not discriminate between men and women. If the divine daughter is willing to come to my lunar palace, Bingyun can make the decision to let you try first. Bingyun can make the decision to let you be the first to try. Of course, if you can really pull it out, you'll have to give up your divine child. Ha ha ha. Those with discerning eyes knew that the lunar palace's holy daughter was mocking Tianyushi. Immediately, loud laughter rang out, making Tianyushi feel somewhat embarrassed. Tianyushi replied, "The holy daughter's appearance and aura are unparalleled in the world. However, Yoshi is a girl in the end, and she is engaged. If younger sister Bingyun does not mind, you can let me make the decision to be the first." Yu Bingyun glanced at Yu Bingyun. Then she looked at the eager Xingju and Xie Zishuan beside Yu Bingyun. She asked coldly, "Do you think that is possible?" Right after Yu Bingyun spoke, she suddenly threw a palm strike. A shock wave burst out, and the cloud moon saber flew out. The cloud moon saber turned into a beam of golden light, flying towards the spectator stands in front. Whoever is capable will be the first to draw the saber. The moment Yu Bingyun said that, the entire place was startled. The many outstanding talents in the VIP stands were stunned for a moment before they quickly flew up and chased after that beam of golden light. The tens of thousands of cultivators below the spectator stands were even more excited. All of them soared into the sky, wanting to catch that beam of golden light. The scene instantly turned chaotic. Chapter 1346. When Tianyushi saw Yu Bingyun's actions, her face turned somewhat sullen. This Yu Bingyun did not give her any face at all, not being polite at all. In reality, how could Yu Bingyun be polite to her? It was already very good that she did not fall out with her immediately. If not for Yu Bingyun representing the deity Dao Union, she would not have given the lunar palace's palace master such pressure, causing her to make up her mind. Half of the outstanding talents on the tall platform had already left. The remaining people, including the disciples of the 10 saber sovereigns, were not in a rush to leave. The reason was none other than that these people were truly strong and had a chance of drawing the cloud moon saber. They were very confident in themselves. Their mental states were also stronger than that of ordinary people. They would not get flustered at the slightest strange movement. Shifeng, who was in the storm sea, stood up and looked around. Then he smiled and said, "If everyone is not leaving, then I will take my leave first. Miss Bingyun, please wait for a moment. I will go and draw the cloud moon saber now." Shifeng soared into the sky amid maniacal laughter, turning into a storm as he charged at the crowd. "Move aside!" The storm surged out, and cracks appeared in space. The strong wind burst out with a tearing force, instantly pulling the people in front of Shifeng away. Quickly scatter! Quickly scatter! That madman Shifeng is here." At the sight of this indiscriminate storm attack, the expressions of several cultivators in the air changed drastically. Horror flashed in their eyes. They all scattered, not daring to come into contact with Shifeng and block his way. Below, behind his hat, Xiaochen's expression did not change at all. However, when he saw the power of this storm, he nodded to himself. The power of this strong wind was indeed extraordinary. Xiaochen had some understanding of the wind Dao. However, he was far from being able to tear space as berserk as Shifeng. However, there were far more than 100,000 cultivators fighting for the cloud moon saber in the air. Among them were some pretty strong experts. If Xiaochen wanted to obtain the cloud moon saber, he would have to spend a lot of time. Right now, the cloud moon saber was being passed around. Before the cultivators who caught it could even grasp the saber handle, they would be focused on attacking. In less than a breath of time, They would toss aside their treasured sabers and flee, covered in injuries. Without strength that could shock everyone, no one could truly grasp the Cloud Moon saber. How strong! If no one stops him, I'm afraid that Shifeng will be the first to truly grasp this saber. Emochen said softly after observing Shifeng's strength. It's not that simple. No one would watch him obtain the Cloud Moon saber so easily. Xiaochen did not make a move. However, he kept a strand of his spiritual sense on the Cloud Moon saber. As long as Xiaochen wanted to, he could use the fish dragon art to instantly arrive in front of the Cloud Moon saber amid the chaos of 100,000 people. Furthermore, even if Xiaochen did not make a move, no one would watch as Shifeng obtained the Cloud Moon saber. Furthermore, even if Shifeng obtained it, he might not be able to draw it. Indeed, after Xiaochen, the IC's young master Bishui, saw Shifeng make a move, he did not hesitate for long. With a flip, he leaped onto the snow horse. The horse galloped through the air. White snow fluttered in the air, and the temperature plummeted. A spear appeared in young master Bishui's hand as he rode his horse and charged forward. No one could block a move from young master Bishui. The moment they clashed, they were sent flying. The cold young master Bishui was as sharp as a blade, bone-chilling. No one dared to get close. Even though young master Bishui moved later, he arrived first. He was like an icy comet riding an ice horse, creating a crystalline path of wind and snow. He actually overtook Shifeng, flying towards the person holding the Cloud Moon saber. Hand it over. Young master Bishui shouted coldly, and his breath was like a sword. He swung his spear over, scaring the person holding the Cloud Moon saber into tossing the saber far away. The Cloud Moon saber spun as it flew, sending out faint moonlight, looking hazy and elegant. In the hazy moonlight, the undrawn Cloud Moon saber was like a proud woman watching coldly from the sidelines, watching all this. Coincidentally, the direction in which the Cloud Moon saber flew happened to be in Shifeng's direction. Shifeng laughed loudly and threw 2 palm strikes, knocking away the people who wanted to compete with him. Then he grabbed the scabbard. So what if you are fast? In the end, I will still be the one to draw the Cloud Moon saber. Shifeng quickly grasped the saber hilt with his right hand and pulled. His expression changed slightly, but the treasure saber and the scabbard did not move at all. How can this be? Could it be that I cannot draw this Cloud Moon saber? Shifeng did not have much time to think. A cold light burst out like starlight. Young master Bishui's ice spear had already arrived, tearing through the air. Dang! The Cloud Moon saber was sent flying, soaring into the clouds. Shifeng's expression changed slightly. He looked up, and a crazed expression appeared in his eyes. No, I have to try again. Clang! Just as the two soared into the air and chased after the Cloud Moon saber, a resonant saber hum resounded in the world. The saber hum contained a sharp saber intent. It was like a sharp blade stabbing into the clouds. The Inferno Saber Sovereign's personal disciple stood up from the tall platform. At the same time, he drew the treasure saber at his waist. With this saber hum, the Cloud Moon saber, which was flying high into the sky, was quickly pulled over. Clang! 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 The many saber sovereigns' personal disciples stood up and drew their sabers one after another. The saber hum was like a zither, each louder than the one before, sounding incredibly resonant. The Cloud Moon saber immediately drifted around in the air together with the saber intent. The few saber sovereigns' descendants clashed with saber intent, fighting for the Cloud Moon saber. The sharp saber intent nearly turned solid as it clashed in the air. It formed a net of interweaving sword chi. Young Master Bishui and Shifeng tried to charge over several times, but this vast sword intent forced them back. It had to be said that the Bladesmen held a great advantage in this fight. They truly live up to being Saber Sovereign's disciples. This saber intent is really terrifying. They probably already have a great perfection saber soul. They are really strong. Even young Master Bishui and Shifeng do not dare to clash head-on with such sharpness. Quick look! When Xiren is going to make a move. A startled cry attracted everyone's attention. Although there were many disciples of the Saber Sovereign here, they were all extremely powerful. Although there were many Saber Sovereign's disciples present, they were all Inferno Saber Sovereign, Flame Saber Sovereign, and the like. Only Wu Xiaotian dared to call himself the Saber Sovereign. As for Wen Xiren, he was the personal disciple that Wu Xiaotian was most proud of. When he drew his saber, the sound of the saber was not the loudest, but it was the one that penetrated deep into the hearts of the people. As Xiaochen drew his saber, the sound of his saber being unsheathed rang in the ears of many cultivators. The saber intent of the other Saber Sovereign's disciples could not be felt at all. It was completely suppressed. This startled Xiaochen, and an expression of understanding appeared in his eyes. His bladesman's intuition told him that Wen Xiren had already comprehended a saber domain. Under the brim of the hat, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Xiaochen had promised Wen Xiren that the two of them would fight in the future. Since Wen Xiren had comprehended a saber domain, then this battle was worth looking forward to. As Xiaochen expected, after Wen Xiren drew his saber, the expressions of the other 9 bladesmen changed drastically. The clashing saber intents in the air stopped listening to Xiaochen's commands and broke off. The Cloud Moon Saber was like a magnet, flying towards Wen Xiren like a meteor. This made the expressions of the other 9 Saber Sovereign disciples change. By relying on his own strength, Wen Xiren forcefully outclassed all of them. There was only one explanation for such might. He had comprehended a saber domain, but the Saber Sovereign disciples did not. Whoosh! Just as Wen Xiren was about to grasp the Cloud Moon Saber, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor's descendant, Xie Zishuan, stood up and smiled faintly. Like a phantom, Xiaochen flickered and appeared in front of Wen Xiren. "It is not your turn to make a move yet," Xie Zishuan said indifferently. Then he stretched out his hand and thrust his sword at Wen Xiren. Wen Xiren had no choice but to move back quickly. This sword strike of Xie Zishuan could not be underestimated. If Wen Xiren continued to snatch the Cloud Moon Saber, he would have to pay a high price. It was not worth it. Xingju, who was beside Tian Yuxi, smiled faintly. Then his figure flashed, and the Cloud Moon Saber appeared in his hand. "Xiaoju, Feng Wuji, the two of you help guard me as well. Cloud Moon Saber, let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves." Xiaoju and Feng Wuji stood up at the same time. Together with Xie Zishuan, the 3 of them each guarded a direction. Immediately, everyone became excited, wanting to charge forward and snatch the Cloud Moon Saber back. Tian Yuxi snorted coldly in unison and said, "Whoever dares to mess around will become enemies with my deity Dao Union." As she spoke, she used the mental energy technique of the deity race. Her cold tone struck directly at the heart, creating a strong deterrent. Xiaochen's heart turned chaotic. He could not help taking a step forward. "Don't. It is not time to reveal himself yet. He might not be able to draw it out." Chapter 1347. Emochen pulled on Xiaochen's arm, fearing that he would act rashly. She did not want him to show himself so early. It was clearly not wise for Yu Bingyan to show herself now and clash with the deity Dao Union. Xiaochen endured and took a step back. After a while he stepped forward again and struggled free of Emochen's arm. That was right. The Cloud Moon Saber would not be drawn so easily. However, once it was drawn, Xiaochen would no longer have a chance to change this result. Yu Bingyan's fate would be set in stone. This result would make Xiaochen regret it for the rest of his life. A grudge he would never be able to let go of. Xiaochen brought Emochen here, so that she could use reason to suppress her impulsiveness. However, it looked like there was no need. In life, one had to be more impulsive in some things. Under certain circumstances, absolute rationality and cool-headedness were not a good thing. Xiaochen grabbed Emochen's arm and turned his head back to smile at her. "There's no need to be nervous. From the very start, I did not have any idea how to deal with this lunar palace. I have no plan at all. Even now, I do not know where to start. The initiative lies entirely in Tian Yuxi's hands. This is not what I want. Hesitating and fearing this, and that is not my character." At this moment, Xiaochen faced his true self. His chaotic thoughts were quickly severed by the saber, allowing him to see them clearly. Emochen asked worriedly, "What about you?" Xiaochen smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. I only saw my true self clearly. I might be rash, But that does not mean that I will not act rashly on the platform. When Tianyushi and the others made a move, no one dared to move. The deity Dao Yunyan's might and tyranny were clear for all to see. While everyone felt upset, they could not do anything about it. Yu Bingyan felt a slight pain in her heart. She gently bit her lower lip, and tears seemed to well up in her eyes. Tianyushi glanced at her and felt somewhat happy. He said, "Xingju, what are you waiting for? Quickly draw the Cloud Moon Saber, and fulfill the holy daughter Bingyun's wish." Yu Bingyun's expression sank. She said coldly, "Tianyushi, don't go overboard." Tianyushi laughed and said, "How am I going overboard? You said the rules. Whoever has the ability can be the first to draw his sword." The Lunar Palace's Vice Palace Master also said that as long as one can draw this Cloud Moon Saber, they can marry into the Lunar Palace. Xingju held the Cloud Moon Saber and played with it for a while. Then he said casually, "Not bad. This is indeed a rare treasure saber." The moon hides in the clouds, looking very proud. When Xiren frowned slightly, Xingju was not a bladesman at all. If Xingju wanted to draw his saber, there was only one way: to forcefully subdue this saber. If it was anyone else, it definitely wouldn't work. However, Xingju was the descendant of a supreme martial artist. Furthermore, he had trained in the star battlefield, and his strength was unfathomable. Everything was hard to say. If such a person managed to draw the Cloud Moon Saber, it would be a great regret. The cultivators present were also unconvinced by the tyranny of the deity Dao Yunyan. Their faces filled with dissatisfaction. Xingju placed his hand on the saber's hilt and showed a grave expression. He did not get careless at all. Xiaochun brought out all his vital qi and released his aura. Strands of hazy emperor's might spread out from his body. That was the aura that Xiaochun obtained after killing the other Emperor Wu. It already had the vague form of emperor's might. Boom! A strong wind blew, and the clouds churned. The sky suddenly turned dark. A golden full moon was faintly discernible amidst the clouds and moon, aloof and cold. "Come out!" Xingju shouted, and the aura on his body rose to its peak. A terrifying aura spread out, causing everyone to feel a deep sense of fear. How strong! Rumor has it that he killed Emperor Wu. It looks like it is true. The deity Dao Yunyan is truly strong. To think that it has such an outstanding talent. Compared to him, the holy science of our heavenly starry ocean seem weaker. I don't know if I can pull it out. The atmosphere of the place turned extremely tense. Everyone knew that Xingju was forcefully subduing the Cloud Moon Saber. The result was very important. Everyone held their breath, waiting in anticipation. The outstanding talents and the descendants of the Saber Sovereigns all felt dissatisfied in their hearts, cursing in their hearts. They cursed Xingju for failing, for not being able to draw the Cloud Moon Saber. Kasi. However, the curses did not seem to work. Xingju forcibly drew the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. A flash of dazzling bright moonlight spread out. A strong divine might surged out, and a strong wind blew, making it hard for everyone to open their eyes. Many of the weaker ones were blown into the air by the gale formed by the god's might. The atmosphere of the place immediately turned even more chaotic. Under the hat, Xiaochun narrowed his eyes. He gently shifted his body and shielded Mo Chun, helping her block the might of the divine weapon. Xiaochun thought to himself, "This divine weapon is truly incredible. It only drew the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter, and it already has such might. If Xiaochun drew the Cloud Moon Saber completely, that would be incredible. Then he could use it together with the Wind Shadow Sword. What kind of scene would that be? He simply did not dare to imagine it. Shit, it's over. Don't tell me he really pulled them all out. This fellow's aura is very strong. This is incredible. Damn it. No matter what, we can't let an outsider marry the holy daughter." All sorts of discussions entered Xingju's ears. He felt very cocky, and his lips curled up slightly. His aura turned sharp again. Xingju's hairband shattered, and his long hair fluttered messily. Cracks appeared on the ground. His expression was grim and ferocious. Clearly, it was not easy to continue drawing the Cloud Moon Saber by 1 centimeter. On the contrary, it was very strenuous, somewhat forceful. Buzz. After the Cloud Moon Saber was drawn out again, Xingju guffawed and said, "The Lunar Palace's disciples are as pretty as flowers. However, it looks like their strength and talent are indeed slightly inferior." Everyone's heart sank, and a look of disappointment appeared on their faces. No one had expected this. No one had expected Xingju to be so incredible. He was really going to forcefully subdue the Cloud Moon Saber. As long as nothing unexpected happened, Xingju would definitely draw the Cloud Moon Saber in its entirety. Tianyu Shi revealed a smile on his face. As long as Xingju drew the Cloud Moon Saber, the deity Dao Union would be confident of taking down the Lunar Palace. Even if the Lunar Palace's palace master was not willing, without a transcendent divine weapon that could work together, the Lunar Palace would not have the confidence to continue challenging the deity Dao Union. However, just at this moment, a sharp saber intent suddenly burst out from the chaotic crowd below the platform. It covered the sky like a tsunami surging forward. Boom! The people in front of Xiaochen could not resist at all. This saber intent immediately blew them into pieces, sending them flying in all directions while screaming. Instantly, a large empty space appeared in front of Xiaochen. The chaotic and crowded scene turned empty. The vast saber intent was like a horrifying wave, surging towards the platform without stopping. This saber intent could not completely seal it. It penetrated through every opening and bore through every hole. Xingju, who was focused on driving all the energy in his body to forcefully subdue the Cloud Moon Saber, had not reacted yet. He only saw the Cloud Moon Saber in his hand suddenly struggle several times more intensely. "What's going on? Steady yourself." Xingju's feet sank as he grasped the Cloud Moon Saber with both hands, doing his best to prevent it from struggling free. When the saber intent from Xiaochen arrived, the Cloud Moon Saber's struggle reached its limit. Bang! The Cloud Moon Saber struggled free of Xingju's hand with a huge force. A huge force bounced back from the scabbard, knocking Xingju back and making him vomit blood. No! Before Xingju's dissatisfied gaze, the Cloud Moon Saber flew towards Xiaochen at lightning speed. She looked like a woman who had seen her lover and couldn't wait to meet him. Xiaochen stretched out his hand and happened to grab the Cloud Moon Saber's scabbard. The treasure saber kicked up a strong wind, causing Xiaochen's clothes to flutter loudly. This sudden scene stunned everyone. Everyone thought that the divine weapon unveiling ceremony was about to end. However, a mysterious person suddenly appeared and burst out with a strong saber intent, snatching the Cloud Moon Saber from Xingju's hand. "Who is it?" Yu Bingyun stood up from her seat in shock. Her gaze seemed to pierce through the thick hat and see the appearance of this mysterious person. It was not just her. Everyone in Bright Moon Plaza felt curious. Who was so bold to take the risk of offending the deity Dao Union and jump out at this moment? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.